Yeah, so from there you can actually ask her like what do you think of my work breakdown, the complication of my work breakdown, is it complex enough for the assignments and all that? Or of course, I'm always here. You can always email me, or we can even have a quick discussion online as well for everybody. That's what I normally like to do because as we move into the assignment and the project, she and I will be using the same project essentially. So what you will do is with the work breakdown that we are using for the subject that you have chosen, that we approve you of using, then you will do her assignment first, and then from her assignment, you join up with my project. You see, mine is a bit bigger, hers is a bit smaller, so we call it assignment for hers because her task is more straightforward as assignment. So hers is only 20%, and mine is 40% because you are going to do a lot more components. Right. What we're going to do this time is she's going to do some time scheduling CPM assignment with you, and then me, I'm going to do some project based on costing, and also let me think, with some economics inside there, which means to calculate project evaluation. So it will be a kind of like big in a way. Yeah, and then we may also get you to write very small sections on what type of procurement method to use and all that. So it's going to be a lot bigger. So I think it's fair for us to give you an earlier start as soon as possible, but you can only do my part after you finish hers, and I'll explain why later on, okay? So this is how we're going to run the next few weeks, because after today, we're going to have 1 week break from this subject, and then you're going to have 2 class with her, and then you're going to have quite a long break until early December for us to do a face-to-face. So I think we want to get you started as soon as possible, so that by the time that she comes in, you're almost done with the assignment already. So yeah, it's just a matter of the scheduling in such a way that we had to try to fit that scheduling to give you guys the biggest advantage in that sense, okay? So I'll explain that a little bit more later on. And I think you've already seen what I posted on eLeap. So that would be the style of me posting, and me and Dr. Lee posting on eLeap for everybody. What we normally do is, if we have an online class, we will do I will record the lecture, fully record the lecture. Then I will process the lecture and I will put it onto YouTube, because YouTube is a small, we can compress it into smaller files and all that. But if we put it on eLeap, because eLeap also have a very small storage space now. So it's a bit hard to post the whole 3 hours, 4 hours lecture on eLeap. So what I will normally do is I will convert that into some other files in YouTube. And then so I will give you the link to the YouTube. So what you see in your eLeap is the link, okay? So normally if you have the link, you click on that link, it will automatically bring you to YouTube channel. And then that YouTube channel, basically nobody can see it unless you have the link. That is how we are set it. This is how I set it anyway. So what I'll do is I'll put it there, and then you just have to go and listen to it over there, okay? So this is how we do it. So what we do is, after the class, I'll post up the notes, and then post up the full class recording. But sometimes, especially the full class recording can be very, very big files. So it may take a bit of time for it to be processed in that sense. Even for example, a 2 hours lecture can use up to about at least 1 to 2 hours, even 3 hours to be processed, depending on the line. Then if let's say it's a 3 hours, 4 hours lecture, it will be a lot longer as well. So normally I need time to process that. So I hope you understand. Then of course the pre-recorded classes, mine I've already mentioned, is actually in the matter of 10 minutes, 8, 9, 10 minutes segments. So I think you've already seen that. I think this morning somebody mentioned to me that PLC 3 is missing. I haven't get to check it yet, but I will do so, later on. I think it's because of I didn't press save and display or something like that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've already posted, or some reason why it's not displayed in that sense. So let me go and check. I should be able to resolve that very quickly, huh? No issue. So I hope you guys have already gone through that project life cycle recordings, okay? And there's only 4 recordings, less than 40 minutes, about 40 minutes or so. If you haven't, it's okay. Just go through that, okay? So whatever that we do today basically is going to be almost the same styles as well. We will have a lecture, a proper lecture, okay, until about 11:30 or 12. I'm sorry, about up to about 11. Yeah, 11. And then after that, we will do another time of QR code with you. And after that, I will explain some of the part of the assignments, what you can do to get started on the project and assignments, okay, and including choosing your group members and all that. I mean, like, choosing group members, like I said, I don't allocate. If you want me to allocate, that is very, 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 it's very undergraduate studies. If we do that by allocating you with somebody else, I also don't know what each and every one of you, your standard is like. I mean, I've got some old students here who I kind of know what is the standard, but the new students, I do not know your standard, you see. So if we need to allocate for you, that means I need to know your level, meaning that I need to have gone through 1 or 2 subjects with you, know what kind of marks that you are getting, so I can put a mix of, a higher grade with a middle grade kind of person, with a lower grade kind of person. I don't want to do that, because I mean, that's how we would do it, you see. So if we do that, that means you yourself know that, in that group, you are the lower grade person, or, that person is the higher grade person. I think that is a bit insulting. I don't want to do that, okay? So I will leave it to you guys to actually choose your own group member. I don't want to meddle with that. So let you guys have a free flow. But I would say, for the new students, try to choose 1 or 2 older students to match up with, especially somebody who has already know the system. They've already gone through some of the classes. I mean, most of the old students here have already gone through at least 1 class or 1.5 class, or one to 2 class with me. So I think it may be good to to match up that way, because it's a group of 3. So try to pair up that way. I think will be a bit more beneficial, rather than, I mean, if you're all the new students, you got to know each other, you like each other, you can pair up, you can match up together, that's fine, okay? Yeah. So, but I mean, it may be a better idea if you find some of the older people, the old birds here, and then you pair up with them, so that they may know the styles of the lecturers better. They may know what is expected, the formatting and all that. So it may be more helpful that way. That is my suggestion. But other than that, whether you want to do a single word also can. I have no objection over that. I mean, this is a very free thing. I mean, you are master's level students. We do not want to sort of like treat you like undergraduate students, whereby we look at your grades and put your name together, and then put the different races in the group, and that kind of stuff. I mean, like, I don't agree with that. I think you should have a free hand, to actually choose your own group member. Okay, unless you really have no idea who you want to go for. I mean, like, we've got a batch that is like that. I remember there's a few persons who just couldn't decide what they want to do, and then in the end they are like, hanging. So I have to slot them into certain groups. That is the last resort, Okay, and then that one is depending on the group member wants you or not. All right. So then, you can actually do that. If you want me to do that, then you can talk to me, okay. Like forcing a little bit onto somebody kind of stuff. Okay. All right. So let me get on with lectures. So I mean, I shouldn't be talking about project and assignment now. It's a bit too early. I think our engine all haven't started yet even. Have you all got your coffee, your tea, your breakfast yet?
Having coffee now.
No, no one going to the kitchen and cook yourself a Maggie, I hope. You can if you want. Just don't be too loud eating it, okay? Off your mic when you're eating it, huh? Let me get off this one. Then we'll come back later on for another round. Actually, this one should be 8 to 2. I put 8 to 2 already, actually. Oh, well, it's okay. Then we'll see how we go. I should be putting 8 to 11, not 8 to 2. Should I stop sharing screen? Stop sharing screen. I'll stop here. Okay. All right. Good morning. Okay.
Morning.
Just to show you that you're not talking to AI here. My flu is not recovering yet. I don't know why. It's been like 2 weeks. Because I've been coughing. I mean, I think I'm feeling better. It's just that I've been coughing a lot, and maybe I'm not taking antibiotic. That's it.
Because of the weather, Dr. Ting, it's raining.
Yeah, I think the change from very, very hot days suddenly to days that are very, very, very rainy as well. But if I take cough mixture, then I feel like I'm floating in the air, kind of thing. Then if I don't take, then I'm actually a bit like the coughing just keep on it disturb my throat. So then when I talk, it's like it's a bit. I have to use a lot of energy to talk. And anyway, just to get an idea, how do you guys find the the short segments of the lecture? And any one of you has gone through it? And do you like the idea of like short segments?
Anything less than 10 minutes, okay, Dr. Dr. Ting, sorry.
Yeah, okay. Aziru, I think you've gone through some part of it already, right?
Yeah, already.
So
10 minutes, okay.
10 minutes is okay, huh? Okay. So any one of you who are actually very unsure about the classes, the lectures and everything, so just go back to the full class lecture and then see if you can get you can listen back lah, huh? Especially like I think our Chinese friends, what is it? Zhenjiang, is it? Yeah. So if you really have issues listening to what I'm saying here, I'm not sure whether you're actually using a translator or something. I think China is very updated. They can actually, when I thought they actually have a translation going on at the same time. But that I feel like it's not very good. I mean, I myself, I can speak Chinese, but when I speak Chinese and want to translate, if I use Google Translate and translate into Mandarin, I need to have some good understanding of the Mandarin before I can actually see if that is the right word to use. And same goes with English as well, because the language itself, the made up of the language and the slangs and everything is actually quite different, So I'm not sure whether it will help fully. I mean, it probably would help with the translator, but it may not fully help with the situation if you're depending on a translator completely, because English is something that we have to master here for this program. For engineering in UNIMAS, it's all taught in English, and postgraduate studies, we have to teach this in English. We cannot give way and talk in other language. Even Bahasa, our own national language, also we are not fully using that in the system as well. So yeah, so you have to bear with it. I mean, I hope that this is something that you will get out of it, like a good mastering of the language, at least in terms of listening now. So be very careful, because when I talk, when the translator translate for you, it may be very different, because like I said, in terms of language, some of the slang that we are looking at, or some of the wordings that we're looking at, it may means like that in doing the translation, but it's not actually what I'm trying to say, you see. So this is something that we have to be very careful about, huh? So that this translation between Chinese to English and English to Chinese, so be very careful. So it may be very helpful if you are like a bit lost, then you look back at the class recording and see if you can try to understand it better without the translator. Okay, right. That is my advisor, huh? Okay, so let's get on with the course today. Today is going to be a very interesting day, I think, I hope. So, if I share my screen, share, right. Let me off my camera now. Oh yeah, it's off already. Okay. You all can see the screen is on what is scope.
Yes, can.
Okay, can I? So if I'm shifting my screen, if you cannot see me shifting, then you let me know, okay? Or don't talk for 2 hours on the same screen later on. All right. So I think we've gone through project life cycle, and project life cycle has a very, very important outcome. Okay, and that outcome is trying to get you guys to understand that at different segments of the project life cycle, okay, at different parts or different phases or different stage of the project life cycle, you will be handling different things, okay? And some of the activities, like I say, most of them are sequential. Some of them are actually overlapping. And of course, a lot of them are actually iterative, meaning that you have to do it a few times to get it correct or to get it to the final outcome. So project life cycle is like a guideline. Okay, it's a complete guideline for you to understand our lecture later on. Okay, and first segments here that we, after project life cycle, I think it's very fair and it's very reasonable for us to go into scope management. So without scope management, how are you going to talk about time management? Correct? Not. How are you going to talk about cost management? You can't talk about quality management as well, procurement management, risk management. Everything is based on scope management. So that is the foundation. So if you look at the project life cycle, I need you to gear your brain back to the very, very early stage of the project life cycle in the segments of ideas, concepts, and development. Okay, so these three phases in the project life cycle essentially is what we are going to do in scope management. Okay, so just to define scope, okay, basically scope is like the description, okay, of the end product, okay, and all the works that are required to produce them. Okay, so you get the idea, huh? So basically, when we talk about scope, many of us like to think of it as scope of works, okay, but you must think about the product, the facilities itself. Project is basically all the activities and all the effort, all the endeavors that are required, okay, to do, to carry out those work activities, to carry out those efforts for you to produce that end product. So in the end, it's not right if we are just focusing on the works required. So whenever we talk about project, we talk about the scope of work, it is true, it is right. There's nothing wrong with that. Because if we talk about scope management in the project perspective, the project is the endeavors, the project is the effort, the project is the activities that is actually going towards doing the work, doing those effort, doing those components, to create those components, to make it into a reality, to construct those components, to install that component, the different components, so that in the end, you get your product, you see? You get your product in terms of facilities, in terms of services, maybe, in terms of the actual infrastructure, in terms of the buildings, in terms of bridges, in terms of the telecommunication towers, in terms of the oil and gas platform. You see, so it's a combination of both. So scope is not only about the work activities that contribute to the project. What I'm saying is, when we talk about scope management, there's two components here. One of them is to define that product, okay? The other component is to define the project. The project is all the works that are required, okay, to produce this end product, to make it into a reality. So the first and foremost, if we look at these two things, which one is bigger? The product is bigger, okay? The product itself is bigger because the product itself is the umbrella. What is it that you are building here? What is it that you're producing here? That is the first thing that we have to understand before we are looking at all the works required. And then when we look at all the works required, it will be the project effort required. So what is the project? So it's first of all the product and then the project. The project that actually makes the product into reality. Okay? So I think you guys can see that definition. Can you all get the picture here? Okay.
Good.
Yes,
And
Dr.
now,
Ting.
yeah. So I mean, like I said, as engineers, sometimes we are very focused on two. Like scope of work. What's the scope of work? What's the scope of work? Because we're very concerned about the project, which is true. I mean, we are project managers, so we are concerned about the work effort, the resources, the things that is required, all the elements that are required to produce the product, So in the end, it's the same. We are going towards the direction of doing the product, but don't forget that you have to define the product itself first. Okay, so basically, if to put it very simply, so it's that basically what needs to be done. Okay, so so scope of a project is what needs to be done. You see, when you say what needs to be done, there's still there's a lot of element of verbing here, a lot of verbs here, So it will be like, what is the deliverables, what is the temporary work, what are the processes. So all these are actually a little bit more on, what needs to be done, So the outcome itself is the product itself, okay? Or the deliverables, the final deliverables, and then we need to define all the sub-deliverables, and then all the processes that needs to happen to actually make it towards that final outcome. And then in between, any temporary works that are required to actually make the product into a reality. So when we talk about scope of a project, it's more onto works. It's more onto what needs to be done. It's like I said, if you imagine noun and verb is the verb. So the product is the noun, the project is the verb, So I think that may actually help your understanding a little bit more, okay? Verb is like doing, action, a lot of action, moving processes, whereby project is that, okay? What you need to do, what works that needs to be done, what are the activities, a lot of activities going on, a lot of busyness coming in, so everybody's moving, nobody is just sitting there not doing anything. Everybody's moving, the site is moving, the work is moving, the design is moving, everything is moving. Is designing, is constructing, is building, is purchasing, is defining, so a lot of work going on. All right, so that is scope of a project. Right, so basically, if we talk about scope management, so if you go for PMI exams, they will actually ask you to define this very carefully. So what is scope planning, scope definition, WBS, verification and control. This is what PMI actually says. Okay, so we've defined what is scope management. Scope management is two things. It's actually to manage the product, the final outcome, and all the processes and all the works that are required to go towards to produce that final product. So it's two things here, but it's the same thing, but in two things, you get the picture, so it's like same thing. In the end, we want the outcome. What is the outcome? The outcome is a bridge. The outcome is a telecommunication tower. The outcome is a development project. I mean, development of houses, shop lots, a shopping complex, rice plant, a sugar plantation or sugar factory, something like that. So the outcome is that the product, and then all the works that are required, the processes that are required to go towards to produce those outcomes. Okay, so very scope management, the word manage, so it needs to be managed. Okay, because if you don't manage scope, you are actually putting yourself, you are actually putting yourself at a wrong direction already. You see, so if you don't understand what is the direction, it's like scope management is like it's the whole thing is like direction. So when you are like, the other night I was listening to some stories about some guys going missing in the mountain, and all that. I was reading on that, and then it's like, they're supposed to go west, on the west region, and then in the end, they were walking and walking and walking towards the east region. So they were basically getting lost in the jungle. So is it same thing with project? If you don't get your compass correct, okay, you will be walking and walking and walking in a complete opposite direction without you even knowing it. So that is a danger. That is why we need to manage scope, okay, and and in the end produce what we set up to do, and fulfill what the stakeholders actually want us to do. You see, so the final product has to be what you set up to have in the first place. Okay, so otherwise that would be called sick project. That would be called it's not right. Okay, so basically scope. Basically, we say we need to manage scope. It's because of that direction. You set up to build something. In the end, you are not reaching there. You see, so what's the point? You see, if you don't manage scope, then you are never going to reach there. See, so scope management, scope needs to be managed. Okay, so when we talk about scope management, I think we have to go down to very, 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 very. I mean, like scope management is actually what we call it can be called strategic. It has to start off from a very strategic level, and then you go down to those very smaller detail on managing those operation level. It's only these two combined, then you can actually able to get that final product that you're looking at. So basically, I don't want to start off with scope planning. PMI says scope planning, but I prefer to start off at a very strategic level, whereby we talk about initiation, okay, project initiation, scope initiation. I think it's something very lacking here in engineering. We are very excited all the time to get on with work because of a lot of issues. Like sometimes it's a pressure from top management, sometimes it's pressure from other external parties, sometimes it's a pressure from public, political agencies, government and all that, to get things going as soon as possible. And I think a lot of engineers understand that. You see, so we are all at that type position when somebody wants something, they really want something quick, fast. So it's very normal for us to move into a project very quickly, and then we forgot about what is the idea, what was the demand, what was the thing that initiate the project. Okay, so I think maybe what I'm saying is a little bit idealistic. Okay, maybe it's a bit idealistic, but we need to know where does the need, where does the demand come from. That is very, very, very basic. And of course, there is many sources. Okay, there's many sources of the ideas, where the idea come from. Okay, it can be from within the internal organization, whereby maybe some R&D actually produces some product in your own organization, and then you want to market it and make money, as part of a new process or part of a new product or part of the new manufacturing lines and all that. So of course, it's about company aspiration, it's about company's ambition, company's direction, the mission and vision, where your group of directors or whether your bosses, where they want to bring your company towards. So there could be some internal sources of needing to carry out certain things, needing to a new project. So of course it can be from individual needs and demands and ambition as well. I think I've seen the video of the making of Petronas Twin Tower, and I think if you put it very simply, it feels like the ambition and aspiration of Tun Mahathir, So he wants the tallest building. He wants something that, melambangkan, signifies a building that has Islamic value inside it. So I mean, from that video, I get that, I get that individual, maybe that individual represent a nation. So it could be a nation and aspiration and nation needs and all that. But basically, individual need is very important. I mean, like, why do you do renovation at home? It is individual needs, Why do you build yourself a new house? Why you build yourself a new factory? Why you build yourself a new new business company? Why do you do that? I mean, business place, business location. Some of you build your own building, just to put your own to run your business. You see, so internal, external sources is always there. You see, so it's like an idea where it comes from. External sources, of course, is sometimes dealing with market studies, market needs, and all that. I think that one is also very common. So there may be certain needs, certain something, that actually makes it worthwhile for you to embark onto this new product, you see, or embark onto constructing or producing this new item. Okay, so there may be special requests from the client. Sometimes in the manufacturing line, you have standard manufacturing line doing standard parts, and then suddenly comes in a client from, say, German car or from other, Amsterdam car, from other places. They want to have certain parts, certain elements within their car, certain elements within their product. So they want you to create a specific line for that. So that could also be one of the reasons why you have new product, new project. So of course you may get inspiration from newspapers, from media, a lot of companies are set up because of inspiration that you get from reading something, understanding the market needs, and then or popular demand in the market at the moment, or you can pick up some pattern and some styles or whatever that is available in the market. The people mindset change, and that like, if we don't have these sources, we are still going to be living in a cave, honestly. Okay, so this is very common. All human being has aspirations. All businesses need to make money. There will be market demand, there will be demographic demand, there will be social demands. So there are many things that will actually create that needs and demand. So we need to know, what is your client sources of ideas, and what is it that they are looking at constructing or producing at the end of the day. So we understand that background. We have to fully understand that background first before we embark onto the following stages. Okay, so your sources, when you already understand where the needs come from, where the demands come from for the product, and the understanding of that also is important for you to ensure that this is not going to be like a moment of enthusiasm, like how some individuals sometimes, when they hear something, when they talk about something, when you're out with coffee or over a beer with a friend, and then you talk about something and you go so excited, and let's start this, let's go ahead with this. But then if that kind of aspiration, maybe it doesn't last, So as engineers, when we come in and try to understand that you want inspiration and aspirations that will last, you see. I mean, like, it's not going to be a spur of a moment, and then you're high for for 10 days, 20 days, and then later on everybody forget about it. So it's also to avoid that, you see. So to make sure that this is really an idea that is necessary for the individual, they have that needs for it, they have that demands for it, they're serious about it, okay? So then once we have already got that, okay, there is some inspiration here, some aspiration here, some ambitions here, some sort of like needs and demands here, then we start to do the next stage of doing project environment scan, okay? So project environment scan, okay, can be done with these two methods, okay? One is called issue analysis and management. Another one is called environmental assessment. Okay, so environment assessments. Sometimes we call it the EIA. Okay. All right. So environmental impact assessment. So this one here is all about project or impact study, impact statement, impact assessment, impact analysis. So this one is actually, both of these is how we are approaching to set up the project environment, to understand the project environment. So let's say with issue analysis, okay, what we need to do is when you have an idea and then you want to develop the idea further, before we sit down and say we want to bring in a solution, that maybe it's a bridge, maybe it's a new road, you know, and before we go into further detail, you know, let's look at the environment of the project first, okay? So what you normally do is we will say, do a project environment scan, okay? And you can draw it out, okay? That is the very, very common tools is you do a picture format, okay? So you can do something like this. So this is where your ideas are, okay? This is where your ideas are. And then you start to identify different issues that will affect the project, and all the solution or the idea will affect the environment, the project environment. This is not project environmental issues. This is talking about project environment, okay? So when we have directly internal here, normally we will put it as issue that is actually, you know, needs to be control. So it means that it's a direct influence on the idea later on. So this could encompass things like the organization, the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders involved? You know, who are the board of directors? Who are the individual that is inspired to create this? You know, and then what is the organization that doing this is like? What is their vision for the project? You know, and then what is their actual idea like? You know, so what is their requirement? What is their objectives? What are their resources? Okay, and we clearly try to understand that, you see. So in this particular this is an example, okay? This is an example. Different project may have different controllable, influenceable, and appreciated factors, okay? So in issue analysis, we will go in and talk about the nearest, the direct layer that will affect the project, okay? And this direct layer, the first thing that we can think about, of course, is the organization itself. You know, so the organization itself will be the first direct factor. But of course, depending on the project, okay, some project may have very clear, very strong localized factor like geographical location, and also the ground conditions and all that. That can be under this layer as well. Okay, if not, then we will put it in the second layer, and this second layer is is what is going to be influencing your project. And this second layer usually will comprise of the outer, going out of the company, but still within the location that you are at. Okay, so if we're trying to limit that, then it's about the location, it's about the cities that you are in, or the location that you are in, or it's about the state that you are in. Okay, so I think for the different places we have different things. Some places they have like Kuching is a city, you know, and then we have got district, you know, we've got state, you see. Like other places, you may have province, you may have cities, province, and I don't know what else, you see. So region, maybe region, okay. And then even if it's a Malaysian national thing, then we talk about regional regional effects. Okay, so but regional effects, I will usually put it nation, and regional normally I'll put it externally. Okay, so second layer, basically we're trying to identify those issues that will influence the project. It will influence the construction, it will influence the design, it will influence the service provider, it will definitely have a very strong influence on the project later. And there are factors such as authorities. Okay, authorities is definitely within the second layer. You know, you are not directly involved in the organization, you know, or the management of the organization, the direction that the organization is going and needing and all that, but you definitely have an influence on the project and on the ideas at this stage. Okay, so what is it about authorities? Well, they have requirements, you know, they have certain specifications, they may have certain rules and regulations that do not allow you to do certain things. That is one. Okay, and obviously when we talk about authority, it deals with the regulation within the state or the country. So whatever that you are suggesting, it has to be fitting into maybe the planning of the cities. It maybe have to be fitting into the planning of the region, you know, or it could be having the planning. It could be fitting into the direction of the province and all that. So that's why they are there, to make sure that things are synchronized. You see, so it may affect cities' outlook. It may affect, like for example, drainage and all that. It may affect flood management. Okay, it may affect water reticulation management of the region, of your cities, of your area, of your district. You see, so authority, when you submit drawings and when you submit your ideas to them for endorsement, you know, it needs to be fitting to the overall master planning of the state, of the region. It must be fitting to the regulations, the rules, the law of the region, of the cities, of the state, of the nation, maybe. So authority is definitely a very influenceable factor in the issue determination. Okay, so these are the data that you need to collect. You know, you may have a fantastic idea, but you know you cannot do this in Sarawak. I mean, like, we know when we were younger, you know, me as an engineer, when we were younger, you know, I really like the idea of you have an apartment, and then on top of an apartment, you have got a rooftop, you know, that is a flat roof. But basically, you know, we have a flat roof. If you build your if you build your shop lot with a flat roof on top where people can do barbecues and all that, it's not going to work. I mean, first of all, it will work. I mean, supposed to be, as engineer, we're supposed to make it work, you see. But in terms of authority, then they're not going to allow that, you know, because of maybe the weather condition in the region. You know, we have heavy rainfall, and we also have rainfall that will actually come in certain angles as well. It's not a direct, you know, falling down from the sky kind of thing, you know. So we do have issues like that, so we cannot allow that, you know. So then we have a lot of leakage in building and all that. So it's not something that is doable. So authority would not allow that, you see, because in the end, a lot of buildings are, roads are, sewage are, water. It's the maintenance of this authority. So they are not going to accept project that is going to bring them a lot of difficulty in maintenance later on, you see. So that's why they are very strict in terms of what can be done and what cannot be done. So you need to identify that, okay? So then, of course, we also look at the surrounding flora, fauna, that is environmental issues. That one is also an influenceable factor. And then we also will be looking at the location, the actual location of the project that is meant to be. For example, if the location is actually in a rural part of Sarawak compared to, in the cities area, then, you will have different management. First and foremost, the traffic management will be very, very different. You want to construct something in the middle of cities compared to when you're, building a road. Let's say building a road in the middle of cities and building a road in the middle of nowhere is very different in terms of management. I'm not saying that one is easier, one is not so easy. It's not. They all have their own difficulties. So you need to understand. Okay, it may be logistic issues. It may be the actual congestion issue in the urban area. So you need to fully understand those issues before we can go and determine whether the project is actually doable, whether the project is actually, the idea is actually workable in a sense. So geographical location, geographical factors, the ground condition, okay, doing a bit of site preliminary investigation, hydrological profile, rainfall profile. These are all second layer influenceable factors that will actually affect the project. So when you do your issue analysis, the first thing that we need to do, even EIA is the same, environmental management, EIA or the issue management is the same. First of all, we have to identify, those that actually influence the project and also be influenced by the project later. I always say that we engineers do not want to create a solution and then in the end create more problem. Okay, our goal is not that. Okay? Our goal is not about creating more problem with our solution. Our idea should not make things worse. Our idea should be making things better. So within these influenceable areas, you are actually identifying issue that will actually influence, you see. So you see, here there's some example, yes, most of them are very localized factors. Okay, one thing that we will need to also look into is the ethnic group. I think this is actually applicable to many places. Sarawak especially, we do have ethnic groups, so or religious group as well. Some of these factors are actually a little bit more applicable actually to certain places. But like I said, if you look at project in rural areas, whether the ethnic group or the people in the rural area actually are going to be cooperative enough to work with you on the idea is actually very questionable a lot of times. So like I say, this is one of the factors that will actually make and fail projects. I mean, we've got a lot of projects that started off very well, and then when it went through certain areas, the people there, the villager and all that, they do not like the idea, and then then they end up opposing you, and then the project got hang for like 6 months, 8 months, 10 months just to negotiate with the villager, the local people, the ethnic group and all that. And of course, heritage is another thing. That is heritage rules and regulation is also another very influenceable factors. I mean, if you work in Penang, Singapore and all that, I think these are things that you cannot escape, and because there are certain areas they do want to keep the heritage, they want to keep the old buildings, and all that. You cannot just take it down. And flora, fauna, like I said, environment, even in the urban area, you don't want to chop any trees just to do the projects, you see, just to do the work. So I think it really depends on, I mean, like I said, I'm like, for example, so like that you are in Cambodia for so many years. I'm pretty sure there are certain things that the government are very, very specific about that you cannot do and you can do and all that. So, I
Yes,
mean, like,
I think if the area is under UNESCO heritage site like Angkor Wat,
mm,
and then you are not allowed actually to build anything without the approval, because if you build anything within the area, you lost the status.
yes, yes. So this is heritage, like basically UNESCO heritage, right? Mm.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, and we also have that here in Malaysia as well. I think Penang is one of them. Yeah, so I think Singapore also have a fair bit of that. So I think these are something that we have to be very careful. These are issues that we need to identify. I think one of the heritage things is they may have certain regulation also on the height of the buildings as well. That you cannot be taller than certain heights, you know, if you're building within certain regions and all that, because you don't want to cover the view, you don't want to cover the site, you know, the heritage site. And of course, you cannot simply just build any roads or any facilities inside there that will affect, you know, the heritage bit of the and the heritage bit of the existing facilities that are there. So I think that is something that is very interesting. I mean, these are factors, you know, that will actually influence, you know, your decision making. It will influence the final outcome of your design and construction method. The scope itself may have to be adjusted. I think for Sarawak, I think one of the very lacking thing that I always see is about tree chopping. I mean, like we actually do a lot of trees chopping that is, you know, as long as the project is in the way, we have no second thoughts but chop off the trees. I mean, and I think we do miss out a lot on that. And but there are some projects there like Membazar, Padungan area, you know, and these are more on the heritage, the Fort Margarita, the courthouse, yeah, the post office. So these are all heritage building. So around that area, if you're really looking at doing anything, you need to think about the heritage laws, regulations, factors, and you need to work around that. So what I mean is that when you identify there's such an issue in the project, then it's for you to see whether these issues are actually important, very, very important. You need to do issue filtering. Okay, so first you identify those issues. So as a guideline of how to identify the issue, I think project environment scan is a very good way of identifying issues. Okay, also I think then you also go up to the external issue, very, very external kind of issue that talking about international policies, regional policies, the national acts, you know, and those are factors that will also affect the project or the idea itself, demographic setup, you know, and then certain rules and regulation regarding gender, regarding work, company, work ethics and all that. I think these are all finance are very important. Financing, I think that is something that we cannot forget. And that one is actually what we call appreciated. We must appreciate, you know, those things. Some of these issues are actually a little bit overlapping depending on the nature of the project. You know, so but we will generally lump it under the bigger area. When we talk about things that we cannot really control in that sense, we will put it at the external area like political, legal, social, environmental, cultural, economics, finance, you know, and of course, if you say the word finance, it can also be in the first layer. You know, does the company has enough of money? You know, that do they have enough of financial viability to carry out the project? So it can be in the first layer, you know, but we put it on the third layer because generally when it's in the third layer, it's about borrowings, it's about interest rate, it's about whether the banking policy in the country actually support your project. You see, so you know, you can have Malaysian company working overseas and you need overseas funding, and then we have overseas funding, or you have Malaysian funding that goes overseas, and what is the system like, you know? So it's about putting money in different countries and how to legally do that and all that. So that itself is in the third region. So many of these, like I say, even like media public, it can be a very within the project itself, or it can be an influenceable issue, or it can be a very general issue. It depends on the project. Like I say, you know, when you're dealing with heritage and all that, the media, the social media, the media itself, the publicity, the public, you know, whether the public can accept it. Maybe in Sarawak is under third region. I mean the third layer. But maybe in Australia or in, you know, in certain state or in certain country, it could be a very important issue. Is this so? It really depends on the country's policy and, you know, the environment and all that. So depending on where you're working in, the region, the areas and all that, all these issues can be very, very close to you, or it can be very, very away from you. So, like for example, ground condition, you know, we can put it under very important issue in terms of controllable. We can also put it in the second layer. We can also put it in the third layer as general issues that we need to look into, soil condition, soil erosion, you know, and all that when we're doing the project. You see, so it may not be so direct, but it's actually near us, and then we still need to manage it because it's near us. You see, so I hope you get the idea. So from this project environment scan is something that I want you all to learn, okay, and produce. So what I will do with this particular chart, okay, this is the empty one, okay, and this is the example, okay, of an environmental scan. So this one here, I want you to do one, okay? I want you to do one yourself. I mean, you can take out a piece of paper and scribble on it and draw on it. You pick a project that you have in your hands at the moment, or something that you see in your area or region if you're not working, and then you do some listing down, you know, like what are the influenceable, appreciated factors, you know, what are the controllable factors. I want to put this as your bonus marks. Remember, I say that, you know, if you guys are, we are trying to help you by giving you two bonus questions, Dr. Lee 2 bonus question, and these 2 bonus questions, one of them is this one. So I'm not going to mark you on whether it's right or wrong, but I want you to practice it and do it, you know, and see if you can actually manage to think about something. It's about your thinking, you know. I want to see your thinking. So you don't have to put a lot, you know. You don't have to put like, wow, all until like, you know, can't see anything, you know, like just put some, you know, put some along the region of what is. Tell me where your project is, and it's not an assignment. This is not an assignment. It's like I said, you can just say it's a bridge project where, or it's a telecommunication tower where, if it's like a platform project or a chemical plant or whatever, just state where is it about, and then just put that tool in, and then identify the issues that will be affecting, influencing, you know, or the project needs to appreciate it as well. So just put it down there, and then, you know, like just one page, I promise you, just one page. And then you just hand it in. I'll put up a link on eLeap. You hand it in maybe by week 5 or week 6. By week 5, maybe this week is week 2. So week 5, just hand it in and you get bonus marks. Okay. I mean, if you don't want that bonus mark, that's fine. You know, it's fine. You know, we're very, very democratic here. You know, I won't force it on you, but I think it'll be nice for me to see whether you actually understand it at all. You see, I mean, I see this project environment scan as a way of thinking. You know, it's like how we are gearing our brain to think in a certain way. You see, so I think this is one way of thinking, you know, one way of mental practice in that sense. Because if you do it often enough, then you will question a lot. You will question a lot when you embark onto the project. You will ask your client more questions. You will tend to want to find out certain things more. So in a way, when you create that idea later on, when the idea comes about into a project later on, you are going to have a very clear picture about what can influence the project, what can influence your design, what can influence your decision, and what can also be, what this solution can also be affecting. I know a lot of government agency, you guys always, before any project, you like to do this thing called CTK, cadangan technical and cost. And I think that one normally that you will also do some demographic studies, some market studies, and some you will require the consultant to produce something like that. You see, but I think that is some form of way of thinking that, can you please look into the future demands? Can you look into what is the current demand? Do we really need such a facilities, And this is the purpose. The CTK is that purpose. It also includes costing. It also includes technical feasibility. So those things are actually more what I call feasibility studies. But this is not feasibility studies yet at the moment. You're just identifying all the issues that your project may be facing. It's like a brainstorming exercise, if you put it very crudely, but it is good. So identify those issues, and then what we do if we issue management is we will do issue filtration after you identify the issue. You will do issue filtration, meaning that you will shift it, shift it into the different segments. You see, so you can have a lot of issues that you identify, and then you say, okay, this one for my project, I'm going to put it under controllable factor. This one, I'm going to put it under appreciated. This one, I'm going to put it under influenceable factors. So you actually do filtration. Then you start to see what is the more important one, what is the one that you really need to get some information and part it into the idea. Okay. And remember, at this stage, your scope is only an idea. Okay, it's only an idea. Okay, so we are looking at how this idea will work out or turn out to be. Okay, so then you fully identify that idea. I mean, you fully define those issues. Okay, and if you say definition, the final environment scan that you draw will be this, the issue definition already. So with this issue definition, okay, you can start to confirm and evaluate. We will do project evaluation after that. Okay, so with environmental impact assessment is similar. Okay, it's similar. Normally, when we talk about environmental impact assessments, here we are more into not to say that it's environmental, as in we're looking into the flora and fauna aspects, but again, it's all sorts of things, that will actually impact on the project. So the focus here of EIA is to look into factors that will impact the project later on, such as the cost, such as the timing, such as the operation, such as the maintenance, such as the actual construction, the actual production. So we look into very specifically what will impact your idea. Okay, so I mean, issue management and EIA, they're just two different techniques. Okay, not to say which one is better or you use it differently. I mean, to me, they are almost the same thing. Issue is also the same thing, but when I look at issue management, I like to think about a two-way traffic. Okay, one is the impact, how the project or how the idea will impact the environment around the project. Then, how does environment actually affect your idea? So it's like a two-way thing. But with EIA, we are basically looking at the impact itself. Like what the project will impact. I'm sorry. what will impact your how your project will actually affect the environment. Okay, so the impact that way, you see, it's a comprehensive study of the environmental factor that will be affected by the project. So In other words, if we look at this definition, it's basically saying that project environment is already there. Okay, we cannot change much actually. What is there is there. So now, how does your project, when it comes in, it will affect the environment. So then our project is something that is still unknown. It is still changeable. It's still moldable. So you need to understand the environment first and how, when you put in this solution, how this environment will be affected by your project. So at least when we create that solution, it is not so, it will not create more problem. So that is the focus of EIA. Okay. So I think many of you, if you work with environmental engineers, or maybe your firm has environmental engineers, so of course, the focus is always, about the environment, the pollution, the soil erosion, etc., etc. But actually, it's not, and I'm pretty sure sometimes you need to get social studies people, economic studies people, political people, not political people, the legal aspects, traffic and all that. So one of the examples that I've seen that is very, very, very easy to understand is when you're building highway, okay? Highway project, like maybe like Cambodia is one of the major highway that is in the state, this last few years, okay? So it's almost all done, I think. Yeah, then it's been ongoing for at least 5 to 10 years. Now, of course, in Kuching, the biggest thingy is the ART project that involves many Chinese contractors and also local contractors as well, and local designers as well. So I think this is one of the hottest topic all around town. And you see, this, when we study, building ART, building this form of public transport in the cities, going through many different locations and many different routes and many different areas, how to select those areas and why you go through these routes and why you don't want to go through that area and all that. So I think when you study that, if we talk about EIA, okay, it will be like how, when this project is here, it will affect the surrounding. Okay, so all this public transport and transportation and traffic and road projects, it's a very easy project to understand for you to say that, how will it affect the environment? So of course you will bring in pollution, or maybe it's supposed to reduce pollution. And it's supposed to reduce pollution. Sorry, I shouldn't say it will create more pollution, but during construction it may create some pollution. Okay, then obviously, what is the benefit of it to the environment? Okay, and then of course, will it affect the flora, the fauna, the trees, the plantation in the region or in the areas? Okay, so will it affect the public's health? When you have highway, along the, when I first worked with Unimas, the whole area is actually like a jungle. You really can see a lot of nice plantations. The air is actually quite nice. You hardly get any shops over there. It's like really quite rural in that sense. There's only a small tiny 2-lane roads that goes to Unimas. That was 20 over years ago, but today you can see that it's like 4 lanes, highway, and then freeway kind of thing, and then you've got the ART right in the middle now, and the road is getting bigger and bigger, so you can see that it has already changed. So what else changed? Lifestyles of people change, the economic spread out change. You see, now there's more businesses, there's more houses, there's more opportunities in Kota Samarahan because of the roads, because of this road, because of the ART and all that. So you see, the project will bring some benefit, it will bring some good things, it will also bring some bad things as well. So in the old days, maybe the environment is good, you've got nice air, you've got very good walking environment, but now you can't, you cannot walk anymore in that area. You cannot there's a lot of things you cannot do it anymore in terms of health and all that. So also, if you build highway project passing through certain houses and all that, it is true that you will have some pollution, such as sound pollution, like houses next to the freeway, houses next to the road. It will be very noisy, boom, 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 boom every day. So if you're building train station, passing through some housing area, there will be some houses that will hear the train every year. And then if the train don't stop at 12 midnight, sometimes the train extend their services to morning or whatever. At 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, it starts to run already, and 12 o'clock is shut down. And sometimes because of public event and all that, it goes on for the whole day, 24 hours. Can you imagine staying next to that train station, every few minutes, and like somehow I stay next to the airport, so every few hours, the plane will, go through your housing estate, you see. So I think these are all impacts of the project onto the surrounding. So I think the main thing with EIA is if one engineer to think about solution that is not going to create more problem. I think to put it very simply as a summary is as that, So we want them to study the idea that it doesn't create problems, even if it does create problems. I mean, nothing can be perfect. You want economic growth, you want certain things, you may need to sacrifice certain things, but it's a matter of balancing those sacrifices. You could be like having a better economics in the region, but you are sacrificing the social, and also you're sacrificing the health of the public. You cannot do cycling anymore, you cannot do walking anymore. So what is a solution that can actually balance what you have lost, you see? So I think we need to understand EIA is because the project will affect, it will impact, a lot of things. So how can we adjust our solution in such a way that those impacts are reduced? Okay, so I think that is how we look at EIA. So I think the main thing is seek answers to what will happen as a result of the project, what will be the extent of the changes, that these changes matter, and then what can we do about them, and how decision maker can be informed with what is needed to be done. So again, these factors is, what the EIA is looking at is this, okay? So issue analysis and EIA, basically, we are covering on the project environment, So the tools is project environment scan. Okay, so how are you guys going? Is everything okay?
So far, so good, Dr. Ting.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about others? So am I like putting it in a way that you can understand, I hope? I think many of you are actually practicing engineers out there, so if you have any opinion or anything that you want to say, we can welcome a discussion, on whether this is actually in practice in a way. I'm pretty sure they are in practice. It's just the extent of the practice, and the extent of the information that you are looking for, and then the extent of how you use the information from EIA. And some of us may say very practically is that, well, we do it just for paperwork, isn't it? So that we have some documentation that we've already done the EIA, and how we use that, well, the project will still go on as what we've designed, and it doesn't matter, it's just a piece of paperwork, you see. When I look at some projects, it doesn't happen in Malaysia very often, but in many places, when you do EIA studies, you need to put this into what they would normally do is they will get the client side will actually get a separate stakeholders, separate consultancy firm to actually carry out this, so that it doesn't the opinion that comes out is actually very neutral in that sense. So what they will do is they will engage an external neutral third-party consultant who is doing a project environment scan, and they will do a full-on report. And this report will be available online. Nowadays it's all online. Like we talk about 20 years ago, it would be put in all the public libraries in the country. For example, university library. You'll be put into the like their let's say if it's a road project, then it will be put into the authority, the road authority offices, library, and of course general libraries. So this, the purpose of it is to be really, really transparent. Like the public can actually understand the impact of the project. It will be on their health and on their lifestyles and on many other things as well. So they will have it in like certain volumes as well. Like one will be a total demographic social studies. Another one will be economic studies. And then, or they may combine socio-economic studies. And then there will be definitely one on environmental, as in the pollution, flora, fauna, whether you need to build sound barrier or whether you need to preserve any plantations or animals, habitats and all that. So that one will be one study. And then there will be, these are usually dealing with very, very big public infrastructure project, honestly. Like, for example, something as big as Bakun Dam, or hydropower plant, and then major road projects such as Pan Borneo will be definitely under studies like that. Okay. And but of course, you may say that it's not very efficient, isn't it? Like one of these studies will probably take you 1 or 2 years. So I mean, earlier planning are usually in the picture. We don't want to start. I need the project next year, and therefore I start it this year. I start to do this study this year. There's no way. All these master's plans have to be ongoing all the time in a way. So once the study is done, then we move on to the actual development of the ideas and all that. So then you will have studies on health, public health, legal, laws and regulations. Okay, so many of these volumes of information will be available to the public. And again, this information should be made available to decision maker and lawmakers as well, so that when they go to the parliament and talk about the project itself, they've got all the data that is necessary for them to support or not support the projects, or not support the ideas. So I mean, as engineers, these are our job anyway. I mean, this is really our job to actually produce information and data that is readily available for public and decision makers to make decision on whether they want to go ahead with the decision. Same on a smaller scale, it's the same thing that we would do for, say, private enterprises as well. I'm pretty sure informations are necessary for the private enterprise to make their decision whether they want to develop the land, how they want to develop the land, what kind of options are there available, and whether they're going to go ahead with it or not. So there must be a study on the environment before. But of course, it may not be so extensive in a way. It may be only focusing on some of the things that we talked about just now. Public infrastructure project and also private enterprises project development, they are a bit different from one another. But you can use the same tools, same way of looking at the project environment before you make any decision. Okay. So essentially, what are we looking at now? Okay. So you may ask, what's next? So from this initiation stage, okay, after you've done your project environment scan, you are basically able to identify the project stakeholders. Who are the people that will have a stake in the project. You will also understand the project purpose. You will also understand what are the constraints that is available in the project. And you may also need to input some solution to balance out some of the negative impact. Okay, and these are all in what we call a project charter. Okay, so the output of scope initiation by doing all these things is to make sure that this idea work or not work. Okay, and Faru is actually sharing some EIA report on Coates line. I think if you guys can download it, that would be very nice to see. Yeah, that will probably be quite matching on what we are doing. Faru, maybe you can use this later on to do your bonus questions as well, huh?
Okay, sure, Dr. Ting. Actually, just for everyone information, this green line EIA just we uploaded for the public viewing last week.
Very nice, very nice. I mean,
The green line is from Pending to Damai.
Pending to Damai, is it?
Yes, correct.
The red line is the airport to Pending.
The red line is from the Kuching Central Pastoral Airport until Pending lah. So this Pending green line and red line will interchange lah at Pending there near the bridge.
I see. What is the line that Samarahan is? Blue, is it?
Samarahan is blue line, Rembus until Hikmah Exchange.
Very nice.
So that one is the one in front of Unimas.
So only the red, the green line is uploaded. How come? What about the rest?
The rest already uploaded much earlier. I can
Okay.
share it later. I have to look into it because this one just uploaded last week. So this one is for public viewing already for comments and everything.
Very nice. I mean, it's good to know that we are actually heading in that kind of direction, with transparency and all that. I mean, I used to see that, I used to see that in overseas. You see that when we are, when we are studying certain projects, it's actually it's so important. It's all available in volumes in the libraries, but of course nowadays, we don't put that in libraries anymore. It's all in e-files, So actually, the accessibility of it is a lot better. Yeah, I think it's worth for us to take a look at those documents as well. So I think yeah, with Faru's link, can you guys just take it and then go through it and then take a look at what is EIA that is done in. I mean, it may be not exactly what I'm saying here, because like I said, the definition of different departments and of general, like is what we're talking about here is general knowledge. So some departments they may be adopting certain things, but not adopting at some certain things, you see? Yeah. But it's worth it to take a look. I think it's very nice because that is how the society should be moving towards. And this is how these responsibilities must be put onto engineers to realize that our job is not only to design and build, so it's also to study the outcome, what will be affected by the project and how the project will be affected by the environment as well, I think. Yeah. So remember, there's two-way traffic here. Not only EIA is mainly one-way traffic, it's more like how the project will actually affect the surrounding in the future. But whereas issue analysis is more of, I would say it's more focused on the issues that will influence the project, and the project will influence the issue. It's like a two-way thing. Yeah. So you can apply both techniques in that sense. Who is when you do these lines, you work for Sarawak Metro, right, Faru?
Yes, Dr. Ting.
And who is engaged to actually do this study?
Normally we engage third-party consultants.
Not
I think, come again?
Not the consultant that designed the lines, right?
No. It's totally different. I think, if not mistaken, we appoint CAMSIGN. Early is CAMSIGN. For this line, I'm not so sure. The green line, I'm not so sure. For the early lines, we appoint CAMSIGN to do the EIA.
Okay. So you actually try to get more on environment consultant kind of thing to do it, huh?
Yes. Also, earlier for the earlier lines, for the blue and red line, we also did the heritage impact assessment. So we appointed a third-party consultant and we work closely with the Jabatan Museum Negara, where we study our alignment with all the heritage whatever heritage along the line. So they give all the assessments towards it, and at the end they come up with a report for that.
Yeah, very good, huh? Very good. I mean, this one should be more publicized, you know. You should publicize, your company should publicize it. Yeah, it means it is part of CSR in a way, you know,
Yes,
like
correct.
looking into how a company actually take the responsibilities to do all these studies. Whether you are, it's also good for the government as well, because you know it's like they are showing effort that they're respecting the public and respecting the environment and respecting the resources as well that is available, and so that we're doing all the right thing, you know, to make sure that whatever we build will not create more problems or more issues in that sense. Yeah. And what about water? I'm very curious, Law. I think water is a very big thing, you know, in the States. I mean, all over the world, water is always a very big issue. Water infrastructures. Do you guys actually have any studies that are done like for water projects?
Uh,
Law?
Yeah.
Mm.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So I understand that you're from Cebu Water Board. Do
Yeah.
you guys also engage third-party consultant to do, you know, like for certain, because water is very important in the sense that, because especially in tech, you know, you're going to be taking water from certain rivers, you know, and giving solution, you know, not all the time you need to build treatment plant, and you know, some waters are already very clean, you know, so is there studies that are like done on it for location, you know, and then where you're going to pick the location for the intake treatment, and then how to distribute to the different public, you know, different people, is it in the States, you see? But you guys are more dealing with urban, I should be asking this to JBUP people. Anybody working for JBUP?
But actually, for currently, we are doing some upgrading for our solution phase 3. So actually, EIA was carried out, I think, was briefed to us, I think last year. So now project start already in this year around I think sometime in August or July. So this there was EIA carried out. It's mostly on the location or the pollutions that might affect the publics and then the residents in Cebu here. So others than EIA, of course, we have our own master plan study carried out by consultant actually. Also for our overall planning, water pipeline, reservoirs, treatment plant, other tanks, where are those locations should be. And then also they do some projection on the demands also for the whole Cebu until 2050, I think. So
Okay.
this study has been carried out before.
But is the information available to the public? Is it on your website?
No, we didn't publish to the website. It's just for our management and mostly management and then top management to have an overview on how the planning is.
Also for the decision maker, the lawmakers, right? I mean, like all these reports, like normally you need to present it to the ministers of what infrastructures are, or you know, what is that ministry called again?
MUT
and utility, you know, and
telecommunication.
Yeah. Okay.
So this project, we how we need to do is for this, after the master plan study, after all this study we carry out, we have to look for funding so that in order to get the things done.
So it's a matter of you are trying to point out the priority for the projects lah.
Yeah, correct. Like those projects in IMK12 and K13 and all other alternative funding. Recently, our Tribune just announced pipeline replacement program, right? 1.0808 million. So those projects are because of all the meetings, workshop we carry out, and after that we come up with these projects.
Okay. Yeah, so it means that, like I say, I think you all are experienced enough to see that, whatever that we have spoken about today actually is being practiced in the sense, okay? It's just a matter of the level of complexities that is being practiced, in a way. Sometimes certain agencies, they may only practice it in certain ways, but certain agencies, they will be practicing it in a more in a more complex way, like they will include more things, and then let the public deal with it and all that. I can understand that maybe water board, maybe they're looking at it not so much on the not putting it to the public, because it can be a bit more, your agency may not have enough people to deal with the media and all that kind of things, isn't it? Compared to, like, let's say the Sarawak Metro, whereby their job is actually more quite sort of like a more direct, public related agency in that sense, so that they are actually, they have the resources to actually deal with the public more than, let's say what Cebu Water Board, Kuching Water Board and all that. But I think it's, like I said, it's important. The reason why we're doing all this is to make sure that the decision that is being made, is actually reasonable, is actually good for the public, and also good for the nation. And of course, what we're talking about here, Metro or Water Board here, we are all dealing with public infrastructure project. So I think to put it up for the public is actually fair. It's a matter of transparency. But like I said, if you put it up to the public, there must be, you must have enough resources to deal with the public in that sense. So I can understand that, maybe certain agencies, they don't have that kind of resources to deal with the public, you see. So they would not put it up for the public to view, and maybe just keep it within the organization to confirm. The main thing is to get the things going now, to build the things, to build the infrastructures. So I think the priority is a little bit different from organization to organization. The level of resources is also different from organization to organization. When we're dealing with councils, it's a different story. When we're dealing with all the water boards, different stories. When dealing with like some organization at the Sarawak Metro, it's different story. Okay, so I think thank you for your sharing. I think this is really, really good. We see the clearer picture, and as academician also, it's nice to hear what is being practiced out there, to be updated by you all about what is going on. Like I said, I feel very good to hear that Sarawak Metro actually put this up on their website, on the EIA report for the public, for the viewing, even though not many public knows that you actually can read the report. And even if they read it, not many of them will understand what is going on. But I think the report will probably point out a few important factors, like maybe the pollution, maybe the accessibilities, and why certain stops are chosen, and like how the construction will be managed, and how any pollution will be managed in a way. Usually, like I said, I see it very frequently in road transport, whereby they do studies like this in a lot of details. Because I think it's dealing with urban, dealing with a lot of public in the sense, compared to, I'm not saying that water don't deal with public. Water in the end is used by the public, that's for sure. But it's a little bit more discreet in the sense compared to any road traffic transport highway project that is really out in the open for everybody to see, you see. So it's very interesting. I think the sharing is very, very good. Any one of you have anything else to say?
Morning, Professor. I think I share some experience on our recent publics dealing with publics. Because we used to have like we have our social media like Facebook, Telegram, Twitter. We share all the information in our pipeline maintenance every day. We do it every day. So when we do in such way, so public because now Cebu province in Cebu Waterfall area, we got problem. Actually, it's because of our plant capacity is around 1.5, but our current demand is already reached to 19 something. So there is no reserve margin already. Once there is any pipers, there is any issues with the booster station, or the public will be affected, and those public is a big amount of customers will be affected. So when we keep on putting all this information about pipeline maintenance, maybe like in Tamang Permai or some area, it's just a minor pipeline maintenance. But actually, when public look at it, they will become panic, and then they will start to store water, even it's not related to the area. So that's why our treatment plant, the storage of the reservoir cannot be out. So at last, our management decide not to put those minor repair, just put some major repair. Then after we do in that way, so our reservoir, the level can be built up, and then the supply will become more stable, and then complain also get less.
Okay.
That's our experience on dealing with maintenance.
That's very interesting. I mean, it's like this is really like a public mentality, isn't it? No? So it's not in my area, and then I will just store the water up, and then suddenly everybody starts to store like 1 day worth of water, and then of course the reservoir will not be able to sustain, no?
Correct. But it's correct that we need to have storage, but it's true like water tanks, store at home. Those are the right things to do.
And I believe that many of these people who store the water, when it's not affected, right, in the end, it's going to be wasted in that sense, right? I mean, like, it's not like they're going to fully use the water that they have stored, so in the end they may just pour it in the longkang or something like that, when it doesn't affect them. So it's really quite a bit of a wastage there as well.
Yeah, correct. And then those clients customers who are in real situation, they will experience no water or low pressure. Those customers don't have enough water to store.
The real people don't have enough water. The real victims don't have enough water.
Yeah, correct.
So it's like matter of like that's why I said dealing with the public. I can imagine that you really need to have a certain section or certain group of people who are fully in charge of that, no? Because different agencies, if we don't have that resources, if the information are being put onto the website or being put into the report or in the library or whatever, it can be quite a big issues, that may be created, no? Okay. So yeah, I mean, like, I do believe in, public having enough of information, and that's how everybody every country should be going towards too, in that sense, because public are getting more and more educated, especially dealing with large sum of money, with many of the taxpayer money, because public infrastructure project is all taxpayer money. So they have a right to know. But certain information, how guarded is the information, how open is the information, how much information to give, I think that is something for us to really think about and adjust as we go along, depending on your company's or your organization's resources, and whether you have enough of resources to handle the large amount of inquiries and public and all that. I mean, like I said, not every organization is like SEB. They will probably have a very, very big public relation department whereby, you know, anytime there'll be people picking up phone calls and you know, and try to solve problems, you know, and all that. So I think that's a different level here that we're talking about. Like, one is about new projects, you know, why we carry out certain projects. Another one is dealing with a lot of operation and maintenance kind of public relation as well here. So it's a matter of understanding how much information to give and what should be given. But obviously, I still believe that it should be given, but it's just a matter of what level and up to what level of complexity of information should be actually dispatched to the public in that sense. Right, I think like with social media now, I think information with internet, social media, I think information is a lot easily dispersed. I mean, in a way, I believe with social media, there's good and bad. You know, like some information, it becomes fake news, you know. So it's better if the agency themselves give official statements rather than keep the information, and then the public will go and dig for the information and then come up with a lot of this funny, unreal, untrue information that is being spread around on social media. So again, I believe it's the management of this information. Yeah, do you guys agree with me?
Yes, Dr. Ting.
Yeah. So I mean, like, if you don't have people to deal with it, then you better don't put up certain information. You know, but then if you but certain information needs to be there for transparency. Why for transparency? Because you don't want any fake information to be around. You see, like, you know, like people create more and more fake news, and that can actually be very, very detrimental to the project itself. Then you get a lot of opposition. You get a lot of bad publicity for something that is actually quite good for the public, actually. All right, so that is what we are covering here, especially in scope initiation. So when we have a new idea, when you have a new product, and then that new idea or new product can be upgrading as well, it can be renovation as well, it can be improvement work as well. So this new idea or new project that we're looking at, or new scope that we're looking at, is not really only limited to something brand new. Okay, so anything about recycling, anything about refurbishment, anything about like what Law was saying just now, it's not really, you know, building something new, but it could be upgrading of the treatment plant, or it could be adding new parts to the existing treatment plant to improve on the usage. These are all considered as scope, you know, engineering scope, and these are all is in the same category. It's new project. Okay, but it may be not a brand new, as in out of the scratch, you know, like like from scratch, zero project, but it could be something that is already there that you need to upgrade it or renew it. That can also be considered. That is also not that is not can consider. It is definitely what we call new project as well, because every project, when you finish your life cycle, when it cannot sustain anymore, it means that the life cycle finish. You need to upgrade it. That is the beginning of the new cycle, even though some part of it is actually from the old plant or from the old facilities or from the old infrastructure. Okay, like upgrading of roads, you know, 2 lanes to 4 lanes, 4 lanes to 8 lanes. Well, it's still based on that route. It is still, but the 2 lane has already finished its life cycle. Now has become 4 lane. Now has become 8 lane. Now has become a freeway. Now has become a flyover. So these are still considered as brand new projects, in a sense that will require you to do proper initiation, especially the project environment scan. All right, so we have finished the first set of the notes here. The second set here, we'll move in and, you know, explain on what is the output. So from scope initiation, we will express, you know, the objectives, we will express the idea itself, what the final product should be, okay, or the solution would be, and then what is the key stakeholders, what are the purpose, you know, what is the main motivator behind the, the idea, and then what are the requirements, what are the constraints that is needed, to actually start the project. So, it's like, this project charter is basically listing down this document, okay? Basically, we're looking into the requirements, the ideas itself, the solution itself, what needs to be done, okay? So it's like, prior to coming up with that, what needs to be done, there will be all the issues, the studies and all that. I mean, we summarize that, okay, and then we put in what we call project charter. And this project charter will be these official documents, that will say, oh, what is the purpose, where does the idea come from, what is the client's requirement, what are their needs, or who are the stakeholders, the public, the agencies, the what, so what are the who are the stakeholders, and then what is it what are the critical issues that we're looking at here, what are the major requirement that is necessary for the for this project. I try to avoid the word project. It's like, what is the major requirement that is necessary, what are the major resources that is necessary for this solution, or for this idea, okay? So in the end, at the end of the project charter, okay, you are actually listing down, okay, so these are what is addressed, in the project charter. What are the goals, objective, constraints, what are the operation concept here, what is the solution all about, and you may also talk about a bit of time that is needed, and the budget that is needed, and who are the stakeholders. So the project charter actually, in the end, is like you are going to be saying to us that what is the product, okay? So the product can be a new department, it can be a new bridge, it can be a new submarine, it can be a new airport, it can be a new upgrading of the facility. So you see, all this information is there to point to you that this solution is needed. So you need to prove that this solution is needed. That is why, like when Code Slide, they put this information up online, is for the public to comment, for all the stakeholders to comment whether this is really needed or not, and what are the budgets, where is the money going, where are the taxpayer money going to build this, is it necessary? The answer is very important. Is it necessary? So when we have this project charter, the first thing that we need to do is basically to evaluate that question. Is it necessary? Okay. Do we really want to go ahead with it? It's not the other way around. It's not like saying that somebody initiate this and this person is so important and we must have it, and therefore we try to find ways to prove that why we must have it. So it's supposed to be a proper way, is to go through why is it necessary, and then come to this stage of this is the solution that we think is important. I mean, that is necessary. So then we will study, okay? And at this point, when you come up with the project charter, with all the objectives, with all the requirements, with all the constraints, and what is the mind, what is the motive behind the project, and what would it do, how would it impact the society, basically come to this stage, we need you to study whether are we going to go ahead with it or not. Yeah. So if you KIV this, it will be KIV. Okay. So it will be stagnant. It will be here. We stop here. We may pick it up later. It may not all die at the same time, because there may be many ideas. So with this part, maybe it's a bit easier if we don't explain it with infrastructure project. So normally with infrastructure project, when you come to this stage already, you think this is a good solution, like the treatment plant that, Law was talking about is upgraded, it is necessary. So with infrastructure project, normally when we come to this stage, it will usually be, it is important, it has high level of importance, We need to get this done. And then the question is, it's not about do or do nothing. So usually with this stage here, we will be looking at, are we going to be proceeding with it? So if we are going to be proceeding with it, then we move on to the next stage of scope planning. Okay, and you need to have an answer for this. Okay, and it's not about just, oh yeah, it's a yes or no. So this idea, we'll be studying it from a wider economics point of view, meaning that what are the costs and what are the benefits. Okay, so what problem would it solve and how much would it cost? And we'll talk about how much would it cost. It's not necessarily how much would it cost in terms of money and dollars and cents. You know, it could be healthcare, it could be laws and regulations. You know, you have to fulfill certain laws and regulations, and therefore you have to do this. You know, it could be public health, it could be public demands. You know, so like I said, with public infrastructure project, normally it's more straightforward. You know, as long as we can prove that this is necessary for the public, then the project will be moving ahead already. Then it's a matter of planning for scope and where you're going to get the money from, and how are you going to push this into the priority list of the lawmaker or decision maker. Then those information will be working on it in scope planning. But if you look at private enterprise with a piece of land and you want to develop that land, you know, so at this stage, the solution is whether you're going to build, develop, or not develop. You know, so when we talk about project evaluation here, we are looking into yes or no as the major factors first. You know, as something major that we're looking at first. So it's like, after initiation, you got this idea, so now go ahead or not go ahead. So there must be a very valid reason why you're going to go ahead. So private enterprise, you may, when you talk about this go ahead or not go ahead, yes or no, do something or do nothing option. Also, the basic option at this point in time is to do something or do nothing. So when you talk about do something, it could means that, you know, you need to study whether this developing this piece of land at this point in time is correct, is right. You know, the economy is going to support it, you know, and that there is demand for it, you know, whatever that you're thinking of building or development. Okay, it could be organization decision whereby we think that now our land banks has already reached this piece of land, we want to proceed with it. So again, it's a study between how much it costs to do it and how much it costs not to do it, how much benefit it will bring if you do it, and how much benefit it will bring if you're not going to do it. You see, does not mean that not doing it, there's no cost. Not doing it could mean high maintenance costs. Not doing it could mean high level of public complaints. So you need to wear it. You need to wear this benefit and cost that can come from dollars and cents, that also can come from non-monetary value. So project evaluation, we usually do it from two perspectives. You know, either you can have, not either, it's and. Some project is focusing more on the monetary value, where what is the capital expenditure, what is the income, like, whether socially, economically, it's going to support that income. Okay. Then on the other hand, the non-monetary value, like I said, can come from other areas such as public complaints, public health, healthcare, what else? Education. It also can come from laws, regulations, maintenance, operation of the current level of facilities that is available. So all this can be from non-monetary value. So whatever it is, we want to convert that into monetary value, but there are certain things that cannot be converted into monetary value. So we will call it another analysis. This is what we call an cost-effective analysis. One is called cost-benefit analysis. One is called cost-effective analysis. So these two analyses basically is to determine whether it's worth it or not to go ahead, and whether to go ahead at it now. Okay, so we will do economic studies. We will maybe not do a full monetary economic studies, but we definitely need to do some cost effectiveness analysis with some monetary benefit and cost. So this one will be a study that will give that final, yes, we have to go ahead with this. We want to go ahead with this. It is necessary. It's very necessary. It's important to go ahead with it. So up to this stage here, once your project charter comes out, I need you to study this. You need to study this component. Answer that question of, is it necessary? Okay. And of course, with data, with information, with calculation, that is the best way of informing that this is necessary. It's just like before code starts, then this is the necessary thing for Kuching. This is the necessary thing for Sarawak. So we must have enough of study and data from the project charter to back up, after the project charter, to do this project evaluation to back up whether we are going to go ahead with it or not. Okay, so you can see stage one, project initiation, then come down to project charter as an output. From this output, we do project evaluation. From this project evaluation, with cost benefit analysis or cost effectiveness analysis, we are coming out with second stage of whether yes or no, go ahead or not go ahead, okay, with the project. So obviously, once you've already gone through that, you are moving into what we call scope planning. So scope planning is really defining, specifying the product in terms of its components, and then what is it that you are looking at it do? I mean, what is it that you're looking at? How do you look at the function? How is it going to function in that sense? And what are the different components and subcomponents, in this what are the different components and subcomponents? So here we are splitting into what we call product definition. Okay, so this stage here we will still do definition. I mean, like the first segments here under scope planning, we'll be focusing on definition. Okay, definition of the product. So what are the subcomponents that if I'm going to be building a bridge? So I'm going to be building, say, how long, maybe, how wide, maybe, is it going to serve 2 lanes or is it going to serve 4 lanes? And what sort of components would they have? Will my bridge have? It will have like piling, embankments, there will be different components. So you're basically trying to specify what is supposed to be the scope of the project here. Okay, so you see project charter is only the product bridge. Now when we come to product definition, we'll be looking into the smaller parts, smaller deliverables, smaller components and subcomponents for the product itself. So this is under what we call scope definition. So at this point here, we can do what we call a product breakdown. So let's say a computer, if you're going to build a mega computer, that is the project charter. So from the project charter, we further define the product. This supercomputer will have what? A screen. It will have like what? A major room that is being built out for it, you know, different electronics components. So we are defining, you know, our mega supercomputer. You know, so again, like I say, for development project, we may be defining whether we're going to build some shop houses, we may be building some terrace houses. Are we going to build 2 stories? We're going to build a composition of 8, 6, you know, or 5 or 4. You know, we're going to have some semi-Ds. Is it going to be double story, single story? You know, and how many are we going to build here? You know, what kind of combination we have here? Or we may want to just build some shopping malls. We may want to build some recreation park. You know, not necessarily we have to develop into housing. You know, and you know, looking at the legal requirement and all that, we can maybe do something else with it. So again, you are defining the product. Okay, so can you guys get the picture? In scope definition, we are really defining the different parts of the deliverables. Okay, and remind you, we are not doing any work. We are doing the product definition here. Okay, we're doing the product definition here. We're not doing any activities, you know, scope of works, not yet. We are basically just defining the deliverables, okay? And the sub-deliverables. It's like you're decomposing, deconstructing your components. So the output here is what we call a scope statement, okay? So the scope statement here is description of the deliverables and what each of these deliverables is doing, or we call it sub-deliverable or components. If it makes it easy to understand, we'll talk about components, okay? So maybe components may be a bit easier for all engineers to understand now. So we talk about deliverables or components. So it's like you have a bridge, then you spread it down into different components, and different components will have different purpose, different objectives, different functions, and then you may further break it down into sub-components, and then what each sub-components are doing, and why is it necessarily is there, and what are the criteria for those components, what are the important elements that must be there within that components. So these are called product breakdown. Okay, so scope definition, we are actually trying to come up with a conceptual part. It's basically conceptual studies already. So it's like you're drawing in, you know, maybe you can take a piece of paper, you can do some drawings, you know, you can actually do some dimensioning, and then you can also come up with a few components. I mean, like all the different components that is necessary. So normally we have what we call a product breakdown. There's some pictures that I want to show you, but where is it? Where did I put it? No, not here. let me find it. Yeah. So essentially, it will look something like this. Product. Yeah. It will look something like this, you know, so you have different components and subcomponents. This is more on work breakdown. It's only when you have, like, let's say this is the idea, you've got different deliverables or different components, and then you've got different subcomponents, and within the towards the end, we are going to work out on the activities or the processes that is necessary for you to complete those components and subcomponents. So this is essentially, these are the kind of tools that you actually can use. You know, it's like a flow, downward flow chart that you can do to define each deliverables or each subcomponents and components and subcomponents. Okay. And yeah, so this scope statement, okay, so this scope statement actually will include like I said, it's like a conceptual report. Normally, scope statement, another words for it is a conceptual report. So in conceptual report, you've got some drawings, you know, the definition of each components, you know, what is the objective, what are the acceptance criteria, the constraint, the assumptions, and all that. So this is what we normally will list down, and then we also list down the milestones. We also list down, you know, about how long it will take for you to do the project and how much is the cost estimate. Of course, cost estimate at this point in time will not be a detailed estimates, but it's going to be more of a very, very preliminary kind of estimates to give client an idea about how much he will probably have to fork out at the end of the day, or they will have to fork out at the end of the day, so that they can prioritize their commitment. Like, for example, like what we mentioned about just now, the treatment plant. So with all the different deliverables that needs to be constructed or need to be upgraded. So you've got this scope statement here that says that this component is very necessary, this component is very necessary, and why is it necessary? And then this component, what would it do? You know, how would it contribute to the final upgrading? And what would it do in the end? Like, would it increase the production? Would it make water more efficient? I mean, like the production of the water or the delivery of the water more efficient by how many percentage and all that? So then, you know, the cost of it, you also need to work out something, you know, which is going to be a preliminary costing work. From there, your stakeholders, your top management with the government agency, they will be able to, you know, see whether, you know, they have the money, they have the funding, you know, and if they have the funding, is your small priority compared to theirs? So of course, this report needs to show certain level of urgency and priority for it to be approved normally, and what are the approval requirements, and what maybe some of the important elements of specifications and all that. So it will be there. We call it a conceptual report. So scope statement is similar with a conceptual report. Is you're already putting in the idea of how these things will work and why is it necessary and what each part will do and why is each part necessary. So, you know, the best way is to do some conceptual drawings. And I think maybe some agency will call this the CTK, I don't know, the cost, cadangan cost technique, and also cost. And this one here, similar, you know, that maybe different country, different agency, we call it differently. But this is definitely not feasibility studies. This is just basically a scope statement. Because why? At this stage, the project still can terminate. At this stage, is giving the client a better picture of what he is going to be getting out of the money he's going to invest in. So here, you also will take this and go to the upper agency, upper management, and tell them that this is necessary, this is going to do what, and these are the components, this is how much it will cost. So then the agency can actually fight for their funding as well and get the approval. So again, if the approval doesn't come, well, it still can be stopped because we haven't done any detailed design here at all. Okay, it's just about components, subcomponents, what should we deliver. Okay, so it's so much of a noun that we're looking at here. We're not talking about the processes here. We're not talking about the verbs yet. Okay, be very clear about this, ladies and gentlemen. So this part of the lecture, basically, we are listing down what should be in the scope statement. So project deliverables, okay, project objectives. Deliverables is the subcomponents, the components, subcomponents, and what are the requirements, what are the functions, anything specific about those components, what are the constraints, you know, what are the constraints? What constraints usually means that what can affect the project, what can make it not so efficient, and all that. How do you measure the project in the end, you know, and what are the assumptions that you're putting in, okay? So when we come to this output here, okay, in scope definition is the scope statement, okay? It's a conceptual report, okay? So when we have got that, okay, when we've got that, okay, we are moving into the next evaluation, because components and subcomponents or the conceptual report can be studied further. Okay, it can be studied further with options. Now we have got option studies. So instead of like a development project, yes, we're going to go ahead with this development, but there are many options here. Okay, we can have residential with recreation, we can have commercial fully with, you know, with markets, with shopping malls, with some shop lots. It can be fully commercial, okay? So, or it can be fully residential with some commercial. So even with development, there will be a lot of options available. So your components and subcomponents can be improved. You know, you can study it further. There's no such thing as once you fix the idea, this is it, you fix the idea. You know, you're saying that, okay, we have all these components, but we want to put this component to further study. So we call it option studies. Okay, option studies. Okay, so this is like what we call the initial screening and initial selection. So this initial part here, we are looking at a lot of, normally if it's like I said, usually with infrastructure project, you may not have necessarily all the costs and benefit in terms of monetary value. But in terms of private projects, normally a lot of things are in dollars and cents. So it's a matter of what type of projects that we're looking at. But this selection of options, selection of what possibly can be done, you know, you not necessarily have to do 2 lanes. You can do 4 lanes, you know. You can do pipeline, you can do from route A to route B, like I said just now, Dor was mentioning this 0 chainage to whatever chainage. You know, maybe you can do like sections, you know, and we can do from this section to this section first, and then you can break it down into 3 components, etc., etc. So you see, there are many options available to carry out certain things. Different projects, they have different options. The options can be in phasing, the options can be in choices, the options can be in subcomponents, the option can be in different components. Like a computer, you can have, you know, you not necessarily have to use a 15-inch screen, you can use a 20-inch screen, you know, you can use a whole big projector as well. So you have many options to your components and subcomponents. That's what I'm trying to get at here. So during this stage here, we want you to do option studies. Okay, we want to do option studies because you have to fix the options. Okay, you have to fix the options. So once you've done the option study, you're comparing option with option. Earlier on project evaluation, we are doing what we call robustness. It's like earlier on, we are looking at go ahead, not go ahead, whether it's a good project to go ahead or not. But here, we are looking at options. The different components can be an option. You can make it more optimal. You can make it make more money. You know, like development project, if you put 10 shop lots compared to you put 8 shop lots, the money that you make is different. The money that you sell it for is different. So you need to study that. You see, so the different options have to be studied. Like for example, Code's project, you probably have to study the different lines, the different routes, different routes that cover different areas. And what are the costs of covering different areas? What are the costs of covering additional drop-off points? You know, what are the benefits and what are the costs? Some of it is in dollars and cents. Some of it is in other values, other determinants. You know, like I said, it can be in terms of public complaints, it can be in terms of publicities, it can be complaint of, it can be in terms of image of the company, it can be in terms of transparency index, it can be in terms of healthcare. You know, healthcare can be in terms of money, can be in terms of just general health, like people get sick more often and all that. That one is, or they get diseases more often because of the pollution and all that. And then, or social is lifestyle. How do you measure lifestyle? You cannot measure lifestyles in dollars and cents, you know, whether you're going to have a good lifestyle, a balanced lifestyle. What are the criteria of balancing? What is the criteria of cost? What is the criteria of benefit? You need to list out. So these are the criteria. So not, like I said, study has to be both. It has to be either and or either. You know, some project, like I said, infrastructure, maybe a lot of them is concentrating on some monetary value as in cost, but some is about operation maintenance, future maintenance, is about public complaints, is about different health care, health, you know, social and all that. So maybe it's about the development of the region, it's about the development of the district, it's about population growth. So you see, these are different criteria for cost and benefit analysis. So we as engineers, of course, we cannot do the whole study ourselves. Maybe we need to bring in some social scientists, maybe we need to bring in some environmental engineers. Sometimes we need to engage external consultants to make the report very neutral and very clean, and they may have enough of people to do the study, you know, so it may not be in-house, okay? But it will be done because these option studies needs engineers to be involved, you know, even though you may not be in charge of it fully, like as in you do it hands-on yourself. Like I said, it could be from external consultant. You may engage different people to help you. You could lead, but you must know, you know, whether you lead it or not, you must know what is going on. Because option studies in the end will still change the components. It will still change the deliverables. It's only after option studies and you pick, the client pick, and the engineers recommend which is the best option in terms of dollars and cents, in terms of non-monetary value. So these options, once it's being studied fully, then we can make decision. Okay, we can make decision of, yes, we're gonna pick that option. Okay, we're gonna pick that specific option, and this is robust, you know, this is a good value. So not only we look at cost, benefit, we also look at the value of the option. I mean, in terms of best value. Certain option may give you a lot of benefit now, but it will cost a lot more later on. So what is the value here? So that's why we recognize that the importance of value engineering as well, because value engineering actually will make you look at the components, study the components. I mean, like value engineering usually is once we already set the components already, like after the option study, you know you're going for this, then we go for another value study so that we can actually look into we can actually look into whether you can improve on the components and subcomponents to make it a better value, more optimum performance versus cost. You know, like if you change this smaller size, does it still perform the same way? And yet does not affect the performance, or it will improve the performance, or if you enlarge it, it will cost you a certain amount of money, but it will actually produce a better performance. So stage by stage, you know, so first we do option studies, we confirm on the options, and then whether this option is good value, this option is bringing in benefit more than it's bringing in cost, and properly study that, then we determine the option. I mean, which option to pick. Okay, so from which option to pick, we will start to plan for the scope. Okay, so in scope planning, first you plan for the product definition, scope definition. Then we plan for the works. The works is the processes. So this is the time that we will move into talking about work breakdown structure. Okay. So in terms of work breakdown structure, I've also got everything in some pre-recorded lecture. So what I will do is maybe we will sort of like cover up to where we are today. I mean in scope management, and I will see if I can look into my, I've got some pre-recorded lecture that actually covers things like cost benefit analysis, feasibility studies, and all that. I think we will leave it for another day. I think it's quite a lot of things to absorb already. So yeah, so I just want to get the bigger picture out to you first today, and then some of the detailing will come in the pre-recorded lecture. And then also, I will also have some pre-recorded lecture on value engineering and life cycle costing. Okay, so the total pre-recorded lecture that we have should be around about 150 minutes. No, not 150 minutes. It's probably about 120 minutes. So it's about 8 plus 6 segments, 14 segments, 140 minutes or so. Less than 140 minutes. Some segments don't have 10 minutes. So we will do that. Okay? We will do that. Is that okay?
Sure, Dr. Ting.
Yeah. So I think it's also important in scope. And Dr. Lee will also focus on engineering economics with you. And I think engineering economics also to some extent you will cover in your economics and project financing, is it? Like that subject. Have you all started that subject already? Project is it economics and finance?
Taken already.
Take already, huh? Yeah, so I think Dr. Lee will focus on that. But for us here, we bring it in so that we are focusing more on project evaluation and option evaluation. Okay, what are the better options? What is the better value options? And that is the focus of the economics bit here in this subject. Okay, so not to confuse anybody, so let's really go through, recap it very clearly one more time, and then I'll move on to talk to you about the project itself. Then we'll see if we can have any discussion on the project that we're going to be embarking on. So whatever we've covered in the 2 class plus Dr. Lee's class on economics is like this. Okay, we're going to have, for scope management, think of it first from the product perspective, meaning the infrastructure itself, meaning that we are looking into first coming up with the product, what is the product itself, and then move into talking about the work itself. So first, scope management is 2 components. It's the product and also the work. That is the first part of the lecture, the objective. The how to initiate the product. What is the product to be initiated? We go through scope initiation. In scope initiation, we focus on project environment study, in terms of issue analysis, EIA, stakeholders, who are the stakeholders, who are the people who are having who are the people that will be impacted by the project, affected by the project, and also will pay for the project, or in some way cost them something. You know, they have a stake, they have an interest in the project. So who are the stakeholders? What is the idea from? What is the requirement for the idea? What is this that they are looking at? Where is the idea coming from? Because you need to understand stakeholders, then from stakeholder, the sources of ideas and the needs and the demands. And then after that, we will do a project environment scan. And from the project environment scan, okay, we produce what we call a project charter. And in that project charter, you are listing down what is the purpose, what is the objective, what is the mission for this particular project, what is the aim to do, what is this new product all about, what will it solve, what will be affected by it. So the final thing is you need to specify what product is it. So once you confirm on what product that you're going to be building, there is no what we call there is no competition, you know, like competition as in, oh, I may be able to build a bridge, or maybe I will just continue to use the the boat, you know. There wouldn't be, the idea that comes up will be the one particular product, okay? Something specific, okay? Not different product competition here. We're talking about one product. Development is one product. A new department is a new department. A submarine is a submarine. If it's a bridge, it's a bridge. If it's an airport, it's an airport, you know? So if it's a highway, it's a highway. So Project Charter will list out what product, okay? So from what product we were going to study whether this product will have more benefit, will have more cost. So generally we will do a test. You know, we will do some studies on the cost and the benefit, whether it's in monetary value or non-monetary value. Whether to, the answer that we're going to get from here is yes, we're going to go for it, or no, let's hold it. We can think of something else, or I'm not comfortable with this idea. Let's give it more of a thought. So we can still KIV it, we still can hold it, we still can, or we can proceed with it. If the answer is yes, we're proceeding with it, okay, then we are moving into scope definition. And scope definition, scope planning now, scope planning in terms of planning is first scope definition. So we are defining the product components, we're defining the product subcomponents. In some words, it's deliverables and non-deliverables. So you can use the word components, non-component, subcomponents, or you can use the word deliverables, sub-deliverables. So with these deliverables, sub-deliverables, components, subcomponents, it's different parts of the project. And different parts of the project, you need to understand the different functions of different parts. You need to understand the requirement for certain parts, the constraints, you know, how you want each part to perform. You know, so it's like a conceptual report that you are listing down, you are doing a very general overview about the whole product itself with the important components and subcomponents of deliverables or or sub-deliverables. And then once we've got that, we've answered all that. The scope statement is like a conceptual report, and this conceptual report will also have things like constraints, will also have different requirements, you know, with level of performance, with the acceptance criteria, with the money, with the time, you know, it will be a report, a conceptual report. And this conceptual report, like I said, will have pictures, you know, and some drawings to better spell out how the product will look like and different components and subcomponents. So here we will put it through another test, and that test is called option studies. So option studies, you may change the components, you may decide to you know, improve on certain components, or you may want to have different mix of components. So you will have options. You know, normally client won't just say that, oh, I will go for whatever idea. They will pump in different ideas. They may want you to create 3 or 4 or 2, at least 2 different options for them to look at. So it's very common to do option studies. Okay, so when you do option studies, you use economics studies, and that economic studies again can be from monetary value, monetary cost and benefit, or it can be from non-monetary cost and benefit, depending on whether it's a private project or government infrastructure project. So again, the nature of project is different, you see. That will require monetary, non-monetary. I mean, if it's a development, a new factory, a new plant, a new production line, a new transmission tower, or a new hydropower plant, you know, or a new setup of electrical transmission line. So all this, they will have their own set of options. Some of them may be in different locations. Some of it may be the route is the options. Some of them may be the location can be an option. Some of it may be the actual composition is an option. So different option, you will need to study from the point of value, benefit, and also cost. So cost and benefit is very common, it's the most basic. Value is another level, whether what you're paying for, you're getting the best the most optimum, the most efficient, okay, like treatment plant just now. You improve a treatment plant, it must increase, you know, the water that is produced, the clean water that is produced to serve the urban area. It not only must serve the problem, it must be better value. Maybe it will work for the next 20 years instead of 5 years or 10 years, then you need to do another upgrading work. So again, option studies is very necessary. So from option studies, you know, we confirm on the option. So after you confirm on the option, we do feasibility studies. So feasibility studies is technically not really a go or not go kind of thing, you know, but feasibility studies, we have technically whether it's doable. You can have fantastic idea, but technically maybe it cannot be done with the skills or with the current technology or with the current location or with the current soil condition or with the site itself, it cannot be done. Okay, of course, second one is financial feasibilities. Do you have the funding for it? Like the treatment plant, the saline treatment plant idea just now. Upgrading. In the end, government got money enough. If it's not priority, they may put priority in a rural area, then you don't have the money. Then that's it lah. Stop already. So again, for private investors, it will probably be the ROI, or whether the budget is enough, whether they have the funding or the means for the funding, whether they can get borrowings, the stakeholders can get borrowings, or whether they can borrow from banks, borrow from government institute, borrow from certain international financing, maybe borrow money from China or something like that. Legal feasibilities, money feasibilities, money is finance. In terms of cost feasibilities, it will be like, what is the expenditure? Okay, finance is more on return of investment and also the funding. Okay, and then whether you're going to have legal feasibility. So feasibility study, we do this to see whether it works or not. Basically, the answer is whether it will work or not. Okay, up to this stage here, you've already done your option studies. Yes, these options, this scope is very important. This product is very important. These subcomponents are the best already. We're going to go for it. But then if you're going to go for it, the answer is yes, we're going to go for this option. So whether it's feasible or not. Okay, so feasibility studies is done at this stage. Then follow on, we will be talking about scope planning in terms of work. So once if feasible, it's a go, you know, it's a go ahead with it, with these options, we will go in and do scope planning. And scope planning will be more on the work. Now, with the work, scope of work will come in. Then you go for your drawings, you know, you design, you know, and then you design the different components, you do the calculation, and then you get people to install and construct for you, okay, to assemble it together. Now that one, during the design stage, we talk about value engineering, life cycle costing, to make sure that whatever that is designed will actually have good operation and maintenance value. It will not be too expensive in terms of maintenance later on. Then we talk about cost, how much money it will cost, you know, what are the schedule like, you know, what is the requirement here, what is the quality requirement here. So scope planning when it comes to work, design, construction is the usual general knowledge of project management in terms of time, cost, quality, performance, value engineering, life cycle management, and then we also talk about procurement management, construction management, or assembling, you know, execution. So these are all typical, very general project management areas that I think most of us are very familiar with. Okay, so these are scope planning, and then the scope planning will end up with WBS, work breakdown structure, and what is work breakdown structure. And then finally, it's about scope verification. And then from there, project is already moving into go ahead. Then we talk about scope change and control. So this will be the whole idea of project scope management. Okay, so I will give you pre-recorded on scope planning as in option studies. I will also give you more recordings on scope planning in terms of work, okay, work planning, okay, work and work breakdown. And I will also give you some pre-recorded on scope verification, scope control change. And the major result from the pre-recorded lecture is you must understand what is work breakdown structure, because work breakdown structure is whereby you will need it for your assignment later, and also you will need it for your project later. And then I will also give you recording on value engineering, and I'll also give you recording on life cycle costing. So I think total there will be extra information that will be given to you of about 140 minutes, which is about 2 hours plus. Okay, so quite a lot to listen, because next week there's no class for this subject. So you have about 2 weeks altogether to actually work on your work breakdown and listen to all the recording. 140 minutes, if you listen to 10 minutes per day, it will take you about 7 days or so. Then you can start to work on your work breakdown structure. And then when Dr. Lee comes in, she will actually, I will get her to also help you to review your work breakdown structure first before she moves into resources planning. Because you see, after you got your work breakdown structure, this is work breakdown, these are the processes that is necessary for you to do the product, okay, to come up with the product. So this work breakdown structure, it will correspond with the resources. You need resources to do the work, you see. And then from resources planning, she will talk about time management. Okay, so she will focus on coming up with the duration, what are the different techniques of coming up with duration, and then you can start to work on the assignment already. So when you come back on the week that we do physical week, straight away Dr. Lee will be showing you on recapping on scheduling, drawing the schedule, and also using Microsoft Project. So we will need you to come in during physical week with your laptop, and then she can do a demo, or while you are doing it together with her. Okay, so this is how we will map it to the physical week that we're going to have in early December, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. And the same weekend, I will be going through with you cost management. So this will actually be your project and your assignment all together. All right. So are we clear?
Yeah, Dr. Ting.
Yes, Dr. Ting.
Right. So we're already 3 hours basically into the class. Are you guys half dead already?
Not yet.
No.
Still very interested. That's good. That's good. I hope that all these lectures are actually beneficial for your work, Mr. He, do you have anything to say? Good. I saw you raising your hands. Okay.
Nothing, nothing.
Okay. Thank you. We can have some discussion for the next 10-15 minutes. I'll show you the. Let me go and search for the project brief for you. What about others? You know, like Eunice, Joel, you know, 1-0, Bong, Huang, you know. Are you guys okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, doctor.
Yeah, you understand the flow of the lecture. I mean, like I'm trying to make it very systematic for you for you guys to understand it better, because I think when you practice it, a lot of these things are actually overlapping, and of course, not everything that we lecture here you're actually practicing, and some of the things that we lecture here you may not be practicing, or you are practicing in a different way. That is what that is different from what I mentioned here in the lecture. That is very common, okay, very common. There's no strict rules to whatever that we are saying here, that you must follow it step by step. But when I present it to you as a lecture, I must go through it in a very systematic framework kind of way, like what is the input, what is the output, and what you get from each stage, and then from each stage you will go to the next stage and do what and what, but what not. But then sometimes, you know, in real life project, you may combine project evaluation straight away with option evaluation. So that is very common. Or you can just lump it everything under feasibility studies. You know, we don't know. Again, it's a matter of time, how much time you have, how urgent the project is, you know, and how fast you need to get it onto the, you know, site and get it working. So, and or how urgent your organization is in doing certain production line, or in doing certain system or work and all that. So again, you know, you a lot of this step may be skipped, so it's quite common, but you must know it's there. Okay. Hang on, I'm trying to draw out my project brief. Okay, right. Yes, I've received some message from Clarence Law. Yeah, I mean, yes, you can. It's something like this, correct? But maybe draw it a bit nicely, So then what you do is you draw it, and then maybe you can also put on some words there, you know, saying that what project is it, where the location is, just a very brief, quick few sentence description of the project as well before you draw the project environment scan. Okay, so within the project environment scan, yeah, you've got like the project itself. I think you are still missing one layer here. There will be about 3 layers. The middle part, the right, the center one should be your idea or the project or the treatment plant itself, upgrading. Then the second layer is your team. And then the third layer is the external, the localized factors. And then the final outer layer is more of a general factors, like more international, national, regional kind of thing, layers. Okay, so you're missing one layers here. But yeah, the idea is something like that. You can just draw it with your hands, you know, and then PDF it and then submit it. I will put a link for you guys to do the submission. Okay. So based on that, the due date will be, say, today is 19, week 2, 3, 4, 5. Can we say on the 9th, before the 9th? Let's say put it on the 8th of November. So about 3 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. Okay, just to do it, I mean, like I said, this one will give you some bonus marks. So let's say after exam and after you had in your assignment, your marks is 64, okay, or 63. Then if you do the bonus marks, one bonus marks, we will give you like 0.5, okay? So of course for 0.5, I'm not expecting you to write a report or anything like that. It's more like just to see whether you understand the class and all that. So let's say if you do this, you get 0.5. So instead of 63, you get 63.5. And then let's say you do the other one, I'll give you another one later on. So it will be 64. If you do Dr. Lee one, you get 65. So if you tune at the 63.5 or 63.4 or 64.5, plus 2 marks, you will be upgraded to the next grade. So that one will be very helpful. If you are going to get borderline, especially pass or fail. Of course, if 2 marks is definitely going to bump you over to the next grade. So I would suggest you do it. Let's say you got 73, you're B plus. 73, yeah, B plus. Yeah. So if you do this bonus marks, for free, right or wrong, you do it, we will bump you over to 75, which is the A mine already. Okay. It's really 1 CGPA different, no? All right, are we clear about the bonus marks? Yeah. So yes, Law is whatever you're doing is on the right track. Just continue. Make it a bit nicer and give it a bit more detail, and then you can just hand it in. All right, this is the assignment. We are going to cover cost plan. Okay, cost plan, there will be 2 sections to your cost plan. I'm not going to ask you to do BQs this time, but I want you to do a life cycle costing plan. So meaning that whatever project that you've chosen, I need you guys to describe the project, okay, with a proposed schedule, which the proposed schedule you will get from Dr. Lee's assignment. Okay, her part is she will do scheduling with you. So the same scope, that's why I suggest you all take out 1 scope of work, take out 1 project, and list down the scope of work. This is scope of work is the WBS. Okay, you need to do your WBS. After listening to the lecture, I think you guys can start to work on WBS. And then with the proposed schedule, meaning that you get this from the previous, like after you finish an assignment, you've more or less got this part all settled already. Okay. Then I need you to work on your resources data sheet and the quantity of data that is available. I mean, the quantity of the resources, you need to come up with that resources data sheet and then put in the rates and then prepare your budget, doing your own estimator worksheet. So this thing here, I'm pretty sure you all are quite, especially those in QS, I think you are, easy peasy lah. How many QS are there? We've got Karin is a QS, Eunice is a QS, right? Joel is a QS. Okay. Is Karin and Eunice QS? Bong, you're a QS too, right, Bong?
Me, not Dr. Ting. I'm a manufacturing engineer.
Sorry. Okay, so we've got Karin. Are you a QS? Somebody, I know there's quite a few.
Yes, Dr. Ting.
And then Joel is a QS. Who else is a QS? No more, 2 only. Oh, okay.
Me, Doctor.
Bong. Yeah, that's why I remember you are a QS. Dorothy, you're a QS also. There's 4 QS here. So I think there's how many of you? 17 of you. Divide by 3. Is it 17 of you? I think it is 17 of you. 17 of you divide by 4. we are kind of missing one QS, you know. I mean, it would be nice if you split the QS into different groups as well. So I think you all go and grab your QS, okay? Dorothy, Bong, Karine, and Joel, okay, 4 of you. So I think with this one here about rates, about data sheets, estimated worksheet, I know you guys are very into BQs. So a lot of the work that you're doing, you are filling up the BQs. But here we're not asking you to do BQs. We are very specifically asking you to work on rational estimating worksheet. Okay. Yes. So this one you need to be very clear. Well, we will guide you later on. We'll also give you samples about estimators worksheet and all that. But for now, until the next class, I only need you to work on this, you know, the project and the WBS. And then you finish Dr. Lee's assignments first, then we come in and talk about the rest. But what I'm meaning that because you're a QS, you may have more access to the rates, you know, and then you may know where to find it a bit more. But I know some of you are engineers yourself, you know, like Huang and Mr. He and also Clarence. I'm pretty sure you have a lot of these rates and whatever available in your organization, like Fairu. You may not need a QS on your team, so it's fine. Okay, so if you need a QS on your team, you mean my slides on the assignment, is it? You mean this one, right? Yes, of course, I will definitely share it. That one I'll put it on eLeap, and I'll also create a link for the assignment submissions later. Okay, then after that, this one here will get you to work out on the capital expenditure of the project, meaning that what is the cost of the project. So with this cost of the project, I will get you to also plan for maintenance and operation, and then how to continue maintain this project for the next 5 years doing annual cost method. Okay, and then from there, I need you to do some economic studies. Okay, so life cycle costing will be included here. Okay, whereby you will need to do economic analysis on your operation and maintenance costs and all that. So this part here, I still want to discuss with Dr. Lee of how much level of complexity that we are going to go for. Okay, this was one of the older assignments that we had, but we haven't really, I mean, like, we change it as we go along. So this was actually for one of the students who are actually having a bit of issue the other day. So we actually set it up for her for this assignment. So, but like I said, hers is a little bit different. So we won't repeat our assignment basically. So, but what we do is more or less the idea is we will take the cost estimation. Okay, and then from the cost estimation, I will get you to do also life cycle planning. From life cycle planning, you need to use economics because life cycle costing is about future costs. So future costs, I want to sit down with Dr. Lee and see whether we want to, because she's the one that teach you on economics. So I want to ask her whether we will go for annual cost or want to go for net present value. So either one of that, you need to do some calculation on that. So it's not going to be a very simple assignment, honestly. There'll be some calculation involved. You need to use Excel worksheets and all that. That's for sure. So I think the composition of the group is definitely would need some, you know, like preferably if you have QS. If you don't have, it's not a big deal also. Then you will need people who are sitting down there quietly, you know, doing your Excel worksheet and organize the data and all that. So you need about 3 people on the team. There is about 17, if I'm not wrong. Looking at the amount of work, 17. Why not? Instead of having 2 on the team, the last 2 on the team that you're going to do it by yourself, maybe the 2 of you, I will allow you to join with 3. Okay, so there will be 2 teams that will be 4 people, so 3 to 4. Okay, to make the group a little bit bigger. I'm a bit worried on complexity and the level. Okay. So life cycle bit, like I said, you need to do life cycle planning. So after the pre-recorded lecture, I think you should be able to get an idea of how to do life cycle planning. So from the life cycle planning, I need you to convert the information into present value, or you can convert the information into annual cost. This is something that I still want to sit on it for a little while. Give me another 1 week. I will sit on it and see which one may be a bit better for you all. I have a tendency to go for annual cost, but then again, it may be a bit easier to do present value. So, but that one will require some calculation. All right. So let me decide on it. Let me sit on it first. I will also discuss with Dr. Lee about this. I also need to check on what focus is she giving you on her parts, to see that I can be a bit more sure on this part here. But up until next lecture, which is going to happen in 2 weeks' time, get your WBS ready, work breakdown structure ready as much as possible. Start to key into your Excel. What is level 1, level 2, level 3 work breakdown, and then what are the proposed schedule is. Then you see what Dr. Lee has to say. So after her lecture, you should be able to also produce the resources data sheet already, but just get the scope of work done first, WBS done first for the next lecture, and see whether it's complex enough, because we normally don't want to have so simple the project until, you know, only 5 level, I mean like 5 activities or something like that, and then with sub activities. Normally we'll go for like at least 10 to 15 activities, and sub activities, the smaller activities, level 2 activities. So these level 2 activities will be like 1.1, 1.1, you know, we go for 3 layers sort of things. So yeah, get that started first. I mean, you may not do the perfect right job, but at least you can get your project first, get your team set up, get your project ready, and then we can actually do scope of do the WBS first, and then Dr. Lee will start in with the lecture. She can take a look at your WBS, and then after that, you can show her, you can show me. It's fine. Actually, I prefer you come and show me. I mean, if possible, you can email me before the next class. Then if really cannot make it before the next class, you can still ask Dr. Lee also during the second during her class about your WBS, and then after that, you start to work on her assignment first. Okay, so it's only with her assignment done you can do my project. Okay, the second, third, and fourth onwards. Okay, so stage by stage, one thing at a time. Don't think so far. Don't be too stressed out about this. We take it one step at a time. So at the end of today, go home. If you want to do the bonus class, bonus question, I will post it up on eLeap. You can hand it in eLeap before the 8th of September. Sorry, 8th of November. Okay, I'm a bit outdated. Yeah, and then go through your pre-recorded lectures and then do your WBS. I think that will be the task that I need you guys to do for the next 2 weeks. Okay.
Okay, Dr. Ting.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you the QR again. How come it's not working? Why is it not working? Let me try this, okay? Let me try this. Hang on. Where's my class attendance? Oh, maybe it's been updated. Maybe I've been locked out already. Right? Okay. Okay, I've tried again to create this. Let me see if it works. Okay, works. It means that just now was jam. This is not. I mean, I've been locked out already. Okay, so click in now. This is the second class. So most of the second class will be in pre-recorded lecture, huh?
Dr. Ting, I think probably I need your help to manually do my attendance because I was locked out from the app. I'm not able to log in now. I don't know why.
Ah, okay, sure, no problem. Yep, done.
Thank you.
I think just give me a minute. I think this is not a good idea from 8 to 2. Let me do another sheet. Okay. I think we better do this properly. Otherwise, later on there may be issue with MQA. Sometimes it gives us a bit of a headache. Maybe I can put it at 10:15. Yep. Can you guys key in another time?
Okay, now can already. My app already can. So now it's can.
Oh, good. Right. $14, $15. Okay. And any more? 16? There should be 16 of you. 16, right? 16 of you.
Can I get the attendance?
Ah. Oh, you also cannot hit in, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, can. All right, all done. Good to go. All right, so this one is 8 to 2. This one, I'll see what to do with this. If they need it, then if not, then we'll go for these two attendance lists. It's better to keep it that way. LU2 and LU3 properly, yeah. Okay, that's all from me for today. Have a good weekend, everybody. You have classes in the afternoon?
Tomorrow we have
Okay.
Tomorrow, full day.
full day tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, enjoy yourself. And any more questions? You can stay back if you have you have got extra questions. I can be around here. Okay, if not, then you can leave, huh?
Dr. Ting,
Oi.
I think just to ask you, that's not the assignment that the group assignment that you're asking us to do. I understand on the WBS, on the rationalization part, what is the what is it actually that you are looking for?
Okay, because costing bit, you need to go through. I mean, we haven't gone through the lecture yet, lah, huh? That one will be later on in week under LU 8, I think, or LU 9, something like that. So by then, during the physical week, we'll go through that in more detail. What I'm expecting there is wow, let me have a look. Please. Wait already. Okay. Basically, it's like, you need to prepare the list of rates. Okay. Meaning that once you've got your resources, all the quantity already, and then according to the schedule, some manpower, something like machineries, you need to use the schedule. For example, if the schedule says 60 days, so the rate for per day is how much? Okay, so rationalize means that you will need to confirm where you get the rates from and whether the rates is actually updated as well. If it's not updated, then we need you to rationalize the rate, meaning that you may have a few rates, then you confirm on which one you're going to be using. So it's basically to look into the validity of the rates that you're producing, that you're using actually.
But in order to prepare this program, usually we'll have the RUP, the resource utilization plan, and then from there, then we will know what is the rate per resource like is either a manpower or machineries. In order to complete that task, this amount of resources is required to complete it. So unless we have a total contract cost already, it's very difficult for us to rationalize on this. I mean, rationalization only comes in when we want to optimize the contract cost, that not to burst it, right? But
yes.
Without the contract cost, how are we going to rationalize
No.
the resources?
This one you have to go from scratch, meaning that you need to do your resources data sheet. From a resources data sheet, you confirm on the quantity of that. Because I'm going to be just focusing on 3 resources, which is manpower, machinery, and material. So the rate that you need to rationalize only for these 3 category also. So in the end, what you need to do is you finish up the main thing about this rationalization here is I need to know the rate is a valid rate, because you guys are working, so it's not difficult for you to find those rates from different places, okay, different sources. But there are some students, they are actually not working, so they actually like simply put like internet rate, So those sort of rate is like I need them to really prove to me that these are
okay.
Rate, yeah.
So what you are saying is that we just need to justify the rates that we are using. Okay, all right. Okay, I understand that now. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
All right. Any more questions? All right, if there's no more questions, some of you can move out already. All right, see you guys.
Thank you, Dr. Ting. See you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ting.
Thank you, Dr. Ting.
Thank you, Doctor.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Doctor.
Have a good day.
Doctor, if it is like those project like IT one, software development project, if that kind of project, is it possible to have work breakdown structure? because some of the things that maybe is have to test it and then I have to it's like using the iterative. You have to repeat the processes. So whether WBS still can be worked out for that kind of project.
Yeah, I mean, like IT project sometimes is a bit the steps within the WBS may not be enough, you know.
Yeah,
Mm.
correct.
I'm a bit worried lah. Yeah, if you're gonna use like a pure IT project, unless you really know all the programming part of things, you see, like that. Whatever that needs to be done, the different components of the IT, I mean of the program.
Because when I study the PMP, there is another type of project management is they call it agile, right? Agile management. So I think that one will be a bit different from our ordinary project management, wonderful project management. It's difficult to come out with WBS, right?
IT project, they are considered as projects, okay? Because what I'm saying is you may not be an IT person. That's why I'm a bit worried, you know? Like, you are obviously, if you're working for civil world, are you a civil engineer?
Yes, civil engineer.
Because like, let's say if it's an IT project that you're creating a software, this is a project, okay? But let's say if you're creating a software for customer service, for example, so there will be many elements within the programming itself, you know, that you need to list it down. Otherwise, if you're just going to say, oh, I'm going to state the objective and then I'm going to do the programming, you know, and then you know, and then test run or iterative or iteration of the program, these sort of things, it will not be enough for you to create your work breakdown.
Oh, understood.
But if you are like going for IT project, but you are actually looking at different components of the program or the software. For example, complaint receiving, you know, and then inside complaint receiving, there are other elements that you need to create. Then you may have enough, you see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You understand, no?
Yeah.
It's just like if we create a software for water pipeline design or software for water treatment, so you need to go into and look at the different components that you are designing. Then you will have enough to describe the project. But if you're just going to say creation of a software, that one I think you won't have enough.
Correct.
Okay, huh?
Bye-bye.
Okay, so the picture that you showed me just now, just refine it, huh?
Okay, I'm doing it.
Okay, thanks, bye-bye.